the Colored Brain Communication Inventory. Discover your how and find the root cause of why trust breaks down. Find the genetic process that your brain uses to get clarity. Identify your friends or teammates in your danger zone and get instant solutions by clicking the Additional Insights button to determine how you can build team synergy and transform communication and productivity with your team or organization. Hello, everybody, because we are right here ready to start the big event of Reboot 2020 Part 3. And we've got some awesome speakers because we are going to be... Hi, Lily.
Hi, Arthur. Yeah.
We're live. waiting for you, and of course our awesome speakers that are coming on very soon. And I see like she's there in the background waiting with a big smile on her face. Okay, and you guys are going to be blown away because of the awesomeness that you're going to get today with about digitization in the modern world. What do you think about that, Lily?
Ooh, digitalization. Wow, it's like, is this going to be a permanent new normal that we're going to in? And, we're going to be like, always on online and online and online.
I'll tell you, I mean, if this, I got to admit, I've been trying to actually get you to, be online and do stuff online for what, about 20 years. Okay. And it took a global pandemic for you to actually start doing it. Okay. I mean, there's some good has come out of this. You got to admit. Okay. I mean, you are right now up in there with like the normal people.
Yes, I have to admit that. And I've been slow. In fact, very slow. Yeah. Right. I catch up fast. Yeah.
You're not alone, because see, that's the problem, is that there's a lot of organizations, a lot of leaders who, have done some amazing work, and they basically built their businesses from brick and mortar, and the whole digitalization element is kind of new and it's kind of scary. And a lot of them have been, well, a little bit hesitant to move forward, and especially with all of the statistics. I mean, McKinsey's study, shows that for non-digital companies, or non-online companies, you're looking at a 4 to 11% success rate for digitization of an existing non-online company. And even the online companies for digitization and really, making it into the new world, so to speak, with the new processes, new styles, is only a 23% success rate. So, those are scary figures, because it's like everybody's going to fail. I mean, that kind of sucks, right? So when most people are failing, a lot of people are wondering, is this the right time to do it? And the speakers today are going to share with us some really amazing insights that are going to support the decision-making process of what you should do, how you should do it, and, well, basically give you some tips and strategies to do it right.
Yes. And today we have arranged for 3 awesome speakers who's going to come on board with us in a short while to share their stories and also their knowledge with us. Right? And Arthur, shall we introduce who are the 3 speakers?
Well, okay, the first one is going to be Wai Ling. And, besides Wai Ling, having all of this experience, from multiple industries related to hospitality, customer service, just kind of, being out there in the general public and making things happen, making people happy, and, achieving greatness. Okay, she's also been training thousands and thousands of others all over the world in that same area. And of course, one of Wai Ling's, besides her amazing knowledge and strategy and ability to just kind of, connect with people, one of Wai Ling's greatest assets is her smile.
Oh, wow. We're going to bring her in a short while. Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Dr. Morali, sorry.
Morali, yes. And the second speaker is Professor, Doctor, and he has another title, Technology Specialist.
Whoa! Well, just like, except maybe without the evil element. I mean, he's like just like Professor Moriarty with, Sherlock Holmes's rival, because he is the equal in intelligence and strategy to Sherlock Holmes. But this professor is actually a real guy and it's not fiction. Okay? And the thing is that, and he's not evil, which is also a good thing. Okay? So we've got this really cool. He is an amazing individual who literally, I mean, is constantly learning and developing and building his database of awesomeness.
Yes, and right, he is not, like the Einstein type that we know, right? And he's fun. He is fun, I can tell you, and he's full of wisdom, and he's going to share with us about
Nice.
design thinking, and how it can be used in digitalization, right?
Uh,
So that is Dr. Professor Murali that he's going to come at 3 p.m., right? And then 4 p.m., who are we having?
oh my gosh. Is it Dr. Anshul?
Dang, 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 you got
Yeah,
it.
doctor, I used to know him when he was a child. Okay, well, maybe not really a child.
Wow.
He used to be
Wow.
the youngest directive communication psychology trainer in the world at one point. Now he's old, but well, maybe not that old. Okay, but the thing is that, he started when he was 22 years old, and so he's been really developing himself from a very young age, and he is really consistently going out there and building his ability to transform individuals, transform organizations, and really make a huge impact in management, leadership, strategy. I mean, the guy is absolutely amazing. He's done some amazing work with a lot of small and medium organizations across the pan India. So he is, really achieved some amazing results with his current abilities and consistently improving.
Okay, so everybody, please stay tuned at 4 p.m. We're going to have Dr. Anshu sharing with us. Yeah, right. And well, today, right, this is, we're going to do this regularly, every 2 months. And hopefully, we're going to do another one in December, right, Arthur?
Absolutely. But the thing is that, see, we have something that's super cool coming up. Okay, because all of this wisdom and a lot of our online programs, including our certifications, are soon going to be available, in a very, very special package deal. Okay. And I'm not going to tell you about that right now. I'm just going to I'm giving you the heads up because this is coming out soon. It is coming out before next year, and you will be able to really access all of the directive communication psychology database certifications and everything in one place, and for a very, very, very special deal. Okay, but again, just
Wow.
think about that. Okay, because that is something that is going to be super cool. And everything that is going on, all the things that are going on right now, all the people that are speaking, all of this wisdom is going to be there for you, and you can access this. Okay, you can access not only the recordings for this, but you can also access the recordings of all of the other stuff, including the stuff we did with Marshall Goldsmith, Ron Kaufman, Dr. Sanjeev, myself. We got a lot of things going on out there where people have really given some real nuggets of wisdom and strategy that can be applied, and we've got a lot more coming over the next few months.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Certainly. We look forward to that.
And
Right.
if you haven't already, okay, registered for today's webinar, if you're for example, if you're a trainer or a coach out there, okay, and you want to know the 3 tools, okay, that are literally going to transform and 12x, any coaching and training business, because the new normal has created some very unique opportunities, and we've got some new tools that we're sharing, some very new stuff. It's not the old same old stuff, some new tools, and you want to find out how to use these new tools and how to apply them to really transform an expert business. If you're a trainer, coach, or consultant, then join us on the webinar today. So just send us a note and we'll send you the link for the webinar.
Yes, and right, is the link written somewhere? Shall we write that link out?
I'll probably actually have to find it. I am sure, yeah, Agus has got the link and he'll be able to put that on there because he's listening to us right now. So, yep, just delegate. That's the trick, right? Hey, so so it's at 5:30 p.m. Bali, Singapore, Malaysia time. That okay,
Oh,
and we've got Alex Karpov. Okay, who you may know is super master coach. He's a coach, researcher, scientist guy who's come up with some super cool tools that are going to be incorporating a lot of the DC psychology in order to create a super awesome system. So make sure that you register for that webinar later on today.
okay, good. Yep, and it's already 2 p.m.
Is
Shall
it?
we?
Let's
Yes.
get her on because like Wiling has been waiting so patiently. So let's bring Wiling on. Okay, there she is. Hey, Wiling. Okay, so
Hi,
Hi, hello
Wendy. Nice to have
everybody.
you. Welcome,
great.
welcome to the session.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Really, really honored to be here. And thank you so much, Arthur and Lily, for the awesome introduction. So, prior to my journey in Habib, Jewels Group, Habib Group Malaysia, I was with, training with, working very, very closely with Lily and Arthur in DCI itself. So, having joined Habib Jewels not too long ago, so now it's my turn to probably give back to the community as to how it all started way back then. So of course, I'm still very new with Habib Group. However, whatever we have done for the couple of 6 months ago, since 6 months ago, it really really is a tremendous change for the company culture. Yeah. So a
Awesome.
little bit. Yeah, so let me get on with it, and we shall
Okay,
take a
so we're gonna
question.
Okay.
Yeah, in between.
and let you there all by yourself. So see you later,
Yeah.
Wiley.
All right.
Enjoy
Come
with
back.
Thank you,
Take care. Have a
Arthur.
nice
See you
session.
later. Okay, so thank you for joining us, everyone, especially for those of you who are in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, in Selangor, Klang Valley region. I know we are all having, going through quite a hard time right now, being sort of partially locked down. So, well, let's gain some knowledge as we stay at home. So I want to share with you what is happening in Habib Group itself, the digitalization in the learning and development department, especially where I'm attached to. So basically, Habib Group, we are a 60-year-old company. So we were founded in 1958, and Habib Jewels is one of Malaysia's premier jeweler. So since then, we have been having other partnerships with European jewelers, and basically Habib Jewels started as a jeweler, as I mentioned, and we offer the widest collection of certified diamond, gemstones, and gold products. So in Habib Group, as a jeweler, we have since grown into different diversified Malaysian brand, not only in jewelry retail but also in microfinancing, education, hotel, and property businesses. So under Habib Jewel Group itself, we have sole distributorship on brands like Hearts on Fire, Oro Italia, and Steven Webster. So we also have a pre-love division called Chantik, right? So we also have established partnership with Legiojet and Toast and Pandora. I think a lot of us already know Pandora because it's been in Malaysia quite long. Okay, so Ice watches brand. We also have Aranu Express. So those of you who are more familiar with pawn business, so that's what Aranu Express is. But basically, Aranu Express is not only a normal pawn business, but is a Sharia compliant pawn business. So we do have one hotel located in Kota Baru, and the latest addition to our group is our Habib Learning. So in Habib Group itself, we have a total of about 1,200 employees in the whole company. So even during the control movement order, fortunately, our company did not have to go through staff cut or even salary cut. So basically, everybody is still being fully paid, although our stores were shut basically for a couple of weeks, yeah, in mid March until say around I think mid June or end May, yeah. So of course, we don't have any income, but yet we were still paying our all our employees full pay, yeah. So Habib Jewels itself, we have 28 showroom nationwide. This is just in Malaysia. Pandora, we have 34 boutiques nationwide and in Brunei. Toast, only 3 boutiques. Aranu Express, we have 8 branches. Ice Watch, we have 9 galleries. Le Georgette, we have 3 boutiques. Chantik, 1 showroom in Nampang Point. And of course, Habib Learning and Jewels Hotel. So our formal learning and talent development team has only been formed in April 2018. For myself, I only joined Habib Group in December 2018. So between April 2018 to December 2018, what the team has done is actually crafted many soft skill modules, so that actually when I went in straight, I was able to actually start to conduct training for them. So prior to that, prior to April 2018, there was only 1 trainer in-house, mainly conducting HR policy and induction programs. So now that we have a full team on board, our team consists of about 13 people. We now support 1,200 staff and as well as external clients. So apart from training in-house, we also have external business. So the move into digitalization in Habib Group started officially only on 16 March 2020. Yeah, so all the Malaysians, I think we all remember, on the 16th of March, basically, there was an announcement by our Prime Minister to say that there is a movement control order that all businesses are going to be shut except essential services. So our company, of course, go into major meetings and things like that. And when my boss came back and said that, hey, look, we are going on lockdown tomorrow. There's nothing we can do except sit at home and wait for the lockdown to go over. But thankfully, myself and another trainer, we are from MNCs mostly, most of our life. So what we did was we told our boss, I said, why not we go into online training? I said, but we don't have any resources. Well, I said, there are so many resources out there. As if, for example, top of my head was Zoom and Blue Jeans. This was what I was using in my previous organization for interviews and for meetings and as well as for offsite meeting. So when I suggested that, and they said, what is Zoom? So I said, well, Zoom is this awesome application that we can use for training, and it's actually free for 40 minutes. So for a start, we don't need to be so harsh to our staff. We can just do mini modules and mini excerpts for these people, just to get them to get used to it. So basically, yeah, that's what happened. So basically, on the 16th itself, we tested on Zoom. So that's when we started using Zoom. We internally tested it. We asked permission from our director's office to use Zoom for training. So even for them, they are not sure. Even director's office, they are not sure what it is. They were just thinking like having meeting through WhatsApp or just through the call and things like that. So when they got to know about Zoom, we were all called to ask to make presentation to help them to do the downloading. So we actually even within the few hours that we have on the 17th, we actually did a very short form of how Zoom is, what Zoom is, basically condensing what we could find in the net about Zoom into 2 pages so that people could understand. The thing is with retail staff, they are not, a lot of them are not very well educated. So the thing is when we translate documents, it has to be at its simplest form. Yeah. So basically, training for internal staff and external clients started on 18th of March. That's when the lockdown started. So Internally, we normally use Zoom, but externally to other clients, we also use WebEx. We also have Google Meet and using Microsoft Teams. Yeah. So so we usually use Zoom for internal training. Yeah. So basically, Habib Learning have a team of 5 trainers. So for me, I am School of Business and Leadership. So we do have other schools like School of Retail, School of Sales and Marketing, School of Operational Excellence, or we call it OPEX, and School of Product Knowledge. Yeah. So apart from having this school of different teams of trainers, we also have a collaboration with universities. So prior to the movement control order, prior to COVID, we actually have a memorandum of understanding signed with 2 universities, which is University Utara Malaysia and Uni Razak. So what this means is that when we actually train some students, or rather even if our retail staff who wants to pursue higher qualification, like for a degree and master and so on and so forth, we actually can have them enrolled with UUM or Uni Razak, and at the end, they can actually attend classes in our premises itself, and the certification is actually by UUM or Uni Razak. Yeah. So the different modules that we deliver are from different range of schools, from the 5 schools that I have mentioned earlier on. So when we started training our staff from 18th of March, we started with something really easy for them. So for example, things that they really needed for work, like KPI writing, or SOP refresher. For example, after the movement control order, we know that we are going to have our business operated slightly different. So what are the SOP that we need to really enhance? For example, we know that even during the movement control order, a lot of company have shut down. Yeah, so a lot of people actually lost their job. So when we go back to our showrooms, and of course we are selling jewelries, right, and gemstones and products like that, our safety would be on the line as well, because robbery might tend to happen more. So during the SOP refresher classes, we just want to remind people what is the SOP of operating the alarm, operating the safe, where are the panic buttons, who should be pressing the panic button, so on and so forth. Because in normal operation, of course, they probably know all this information, but if we don't remind them enough, it may just get out of their mind. So that's part of the training that we do online for them, just to get them to get used to it. So when they are more comfortable in operating, doing online courses, we went into more information loading courses, like for example, psychology-based program. So what I did for them was things like developing growth mindset, building self-esteem, unconscious bias, power of choice, changing limiting beliefs, so on and so forth. So at the same time, because there are 5 trainers and there are overall 1,200 staff, we take turns to train back to back, actually, every day. Yeah, so the retail trainer will be training things like customer service. Sales and marketing school will be training things like selling skills. Of course, product knowledge, things on diamond, gold, watches, so on and so forth. So the main challenge we have is that for this online training to be carried out, is that over 900 plus employees from our retail operation do not actually have access to laptop or desktop. So we actually have to make sure that the online delivery that we carry out have to be customized towards phone, to be the slides. They have to be able to be readable, yeah, on the phone, because it's going to be delivered through Zoom. So most of the staff, when we first started using Zoom, they were very, very nervous. So even to participate, even to unmute themselves, they were scared to press on any button on the screen, being young or old. So sometimes you have the stereotype that younger people are more adaptable to devices or to technology, but the myth is that at the bottom of their heart, the thing is that these people, they usually don't use technology on the selling floor. So when they actually need to constantly use their phone for training, they were actually fearful. They were fearful to make mistake. They were fearful to be the clown, the joke of the day, so on and so forth. So when we first started training, we really assure them, and Zoom have got many features like breakout room, like the annotation tool and things like that. So on a daily basis, we give them step-by-step guidance to build their confidence, so that they are more comfortable in operating the device itself. So after 2 weeks, we can see that the staff are more and more comfortable in using Zoom, and they are actually more brave to use it better. So sometimes when we say, hey, this is a screen, let's start. Those of you who are waiting, let's put a comment or two, what you would like to learn today, what you want to get out of this activity, things like that. Before we could actually conclude our instructions, you can see the annotation button in the screen is already moving. So they already started to, dribble on our slides and things like that. So that was actually very moving to see their confidence improving day by day. So the other challenges we have is also that employees refuse to adapt to technologies. So there are actually staff, because we are a 60-year-old company, there are actually staff who have been with us for over 20 years. So for some of them, they are very willing to learn, but despite the fear. However, there are also some who are refusing to adapt. So, for example, we do have craftsmen, right, who are probably 25 years old in the company, and they say that, oh, my phone is not very user friendly, so I cannot install Zoom. Or the application is too high tech for my phone, I can't use it. So basically, they don't want to participate or sign in the training itself. So the thing is, we can't force them. But what we can do is just encourage them. So when we actually see them after the movement control order, when we go back to the office, we actually try and help them, if for those who want to really learn and improve. But those who really like laid back and they're just basically there to just do their work as a craftsman, I mean, basically we can't force them. So I had one scenario even. It was round about Raya, Hari Raya. So it was pre-Raya. It was during Ramadan. So most of them are fasting, right, during the day. And you can imagine, like a 3 o'clock session or 4 o'clock session, people are generally sleepy because they can't have coffee, they can't munch on snacks to keep awake. So there are people, it takes a lot of our energy, even more, to keep them awake. So we will try and put in as much activity as we can during those training sessions. There was one particular one which I remember, which was actually quite hilarious. And the thing is that Zoom, it's a recorded training. We actually record every training session. So this lady, from the start to the end of the session, she was literally just kneading something. I believe it was either kneading some flour for delicacy or for bread or whatever. So during one of the breakout session, because they were having ongoing discussion, I happened to visit the room, and I actually overheard her saying that she was actually making bread. And it was like really nonstop for the hour of training that I spent with them. She was just kneading. She was just putting her phone aside and she was just kneading. So that was actually quite hilarious. I mean, people are just so full of using their time. Amazing. So another challenge that we have is actually having our employees live in a remote area. So data connection is very challenging. So, but what warms our heart is that for those people who actually drive away from their home, and some journey we found out, like for example, remote area in Sabah or Sarawak, or even Kota Baru or Pahang, their journey sometimes take about 20 to 45 minutes. So you can imagine if a training start at 3 o'clock, they have to start to leave their house at maybe 2:15, 2:30 to drive out to look for better data connection so that they can actually get connected for Zoom training. Yeah, and we have also seen some scenarios whereby some of them do not have childminders. So basically, they are driving around with their children in the car, sitting at the back seat, all strapped in, and they will be somewhere sitting down, just listening into the training and participating. So these are the people that also keep us trainers moving and really want to give our best back to them as well, because they are actually going all this, doing all this far-fetched action, yeah, just to gain knowledge. So that is actually very, very heartwarming. So some of the initiatives that we have come up with, yeah, to help people to learn is to use Telegram as a mode of communication. So although most of for our staff, most showroom or boutique, we do not have emails for everyone. So for example, if one showroom consists of 15 people, only probably one or two person in the showroom or boutique have got email address. So all the others people, they are just sharing one branch email. So what we did was actually initiated Telegram as a mode of communication to everyone, so that everybody can actually participate in all the activities that we carry out. So for example, we have created in Google Form, yeah, short fun quizzes for them to find out, right, what is your communication style, so on and so forth. We also send out PDF notes, yeah, for the self-directed learning. So we come up with different teams every week, or once a fortnight we have different team. So our team in Habib Learning will come up with all different notes. So for example, this one is 8 ways to manage your team, social distancing version, so on and so forth. So all these are disseminated through Telegram, so that everybody actually have the resources, can access the resources. So we also come up with short videos, like for example this one, practicing gratitude towards a happier life. That's just to give some uplift, some boost for them, because most of them, like when they're staying at home, they know that their routine is disrupted. So a lot of them have to also attend training, as well as look after their household, cook, and have to attend to the kids and things like that, and take turns with their husband to look after the kids. So that can be quite taxing for them. So we come up with videos like that to give them some motivation. So we also use Facebook as mode of engagement. So most of them are in the Facebook group, but some of them who have don't have the habit to check on Facebook. So these are for people who want to interact more, want to be in the limelight. So for those people who are maybe green brain, yeah, they will have more fun participating in this. So every time we have a training, for example, like this one I have done, I will be posting all the activities that we have come up with, yeah, and the group photo and things like that to post on Facebook, to tell people that, hey, we have this training, so this is how it looks like, this is what goes on. So if you want to participate next time, yeah, just let us know, yeah, things like that. So basically, although we are back in the office, online training is still encouraged, because for them to come on face-to-face training, especially those of them who are based in the store, which is like, if they need to travel to HQ, they may face more risk, exposing to COVID-19. So as far as possible, we will also still maintain online training. And at the same time, we also have a mandate for staff to complete about 24 personal development hours a year. So normally 24 hours is not a lot. Basically, it's just 3 full days training. But the thing is that with online training, most of the time is only 1 or 2 hours. So to complete this 24 hours is quite upheaval for most people. So as most people still have their spirits down after returning to our workplace, so what I did was created this psychology-based program entitled Igniting the Talent Within You. So basically, the main aim of this program is to develop their mental strength. Yeah, so it consists of 5 modules. Basically, module 1 is understanding personality of for themselves. Yeah, module 2 is about self-awareness. understanding emotions and self-regulation. Module 3 was power of change. Module 4 was power of choice. And module 5 was writing goals and action plan. So we started delivering this module in June, and we can see that and it was for most of Pandora, people from Pandora. So in the short 3 months that we have done this module, we could actually see behavioral change in our staff. So the result has been really amazing, because from how they actually write their goals and action plan after the module versus when we started doing KPI writing in March, yeah, the way of them, their thinking, yeah, is very very different. Yeah, so we are proud to be delivering this module to them, to see the changes in them. Yep. So that's our digitalization journey so far in Habib Group. So that is all from me this time. So any question? Arthur, are you muted?
And there we go. Thank you. Okay, so anyway, Api is asking the question for Weiling. Okay, thanks for sharing. And so basically he's asking, how does your team influence people to adapt to changes towards digitalization?
Well, it's mainly lead by example, because that's one of our core value, to lead by example, and also really to, in a way, mollycoddle them, to tell them that it is okay to make mistake. It is okay for us to learn together. So every time, even for us as trainers, we do any blunder, during the training or things like that, we'll say that, hey, look, we all make mistake. It's okay. It's okay to learn from it. Yeah, we will grow up by learning through mistake. It's okay. Yeah, so basically, of course, in our DC language is, fail intelligently, but we are not failing, we are basically learning. So that's fantastic.
Awesome. So basically,
Yeah.
you are building an environment or a culture of trust so that people
Yes.
feel like it's okay for them to consistently build on their mistakes.
Definitely. Of course, we encourage them not to make the mistake twice, so we will learn from it. Yeah.
Okay, and we've got Fang Yitsu. Okay, is Habibi's group planning to shift back to conventional way after the pandemic is resolved?
In fact, we are not going to shift entirely, because we do have a calendar plan for online training, yeah, throughout the year, because this we can also facilitate that all the other store, especially those in the northern region, the southern region, and East Malaysia, they can actually continue learning online as well. So of course, it will be mixture, and we are actually going to blended learning as well. So what we do is very similar to DC. What we do is we get them to learn through materials first, and then when we meet back, yeah, it will be through assessment and application. So it's going to be blended learning. It's going to be a mixture. So it's not going to be 100% shift back to conventional way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Wileen? Because, that was an amazing thing. Okay, it was great because it was a real case study. And it was, again, it was that small, medium-sized business. I mean, 1,000 employees isn't that small, but, you've
Yeah.
got that, but still, it's the local business. And that's really what makes this case study so powerful, is that, you're dealing with, I'm assuming it's a family business?
Yes, it is.
And
Yes, it is.
as a family business, I mean, they've grown, they've built, they have created, a small empire. But now it's time to take it to the next level, and that's where a lot of organizations, I mean, are a lot of family business can really benefit from this case study. So thank you so much,
Definitely.
Wiley.
You're most welcome, Arthur. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I have enjoyed sharing, and hopefully this gives motivation to other company to go into digitalization as well. It may sound scary, but it won't take too much time to get used to it. Yeah, really.
Yeah, and of course, there's different elements of digitalization as well as digitization. So, what are the plans for the future as far as like growing through digitization or even digital transformation? Do they have anything
Um, yes.
to expand that way?
Yes, we are looking into it. Of course, budget will play a huge factor in it. But meanwhile, while adapting, while collecting our resources for bigger budget, in the near future, what we are planning to do is actually set up a digital library. So we do have our intranet, so we will be using it more on a constant basis for staff to access all our digital resources. Yeah, this will also encourage self-directed learning. So this is one thing that we want our staff to inculcate as well, to get used to, so that not everything is about spoon feeding. So they will actually learn to find the resources itself. So even now, to further enhance that development part of shaping people's attitude towards adapting to digitalization. We are also encouraging people to do research, give them a little bit of homework, and do presentation as well as part of the blended learning. So we are mix and mashing up different methodology, yeah, so to get them to get used to it.
Great, great. Now, do they have any plans to do an online store or online stores?
We do have e-commerce set up for a couple of brands. Not all of them are online yet, but those who do not, those areas that we do not have online store yet, we are actually working with existing vendors like Shopee, like Lazada, yeah, for our e-commerce business.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Mm.
Okay, so it looks like that's it for the questions. Hey, Lily, why don't you come on in and join the party, baby?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, Wiley, once again, thank you so much. We are so honored that you joined us and shared, this brilliant case study with us. It really, I'm sure that so many people really benefited from it.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Wedding, for coming. Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
the Colored Brain Communication Inventory. Discover your how and find the root cause of why trust breaks down. Find the genetic process that your brain uses to get clarity. Identify your friends or teammates in your danger zone and get instant solutions by clicking the Additional Insights button to determine how you can build team synergy and transform communication and productivity with your team or organization.
Hi, this is Arthur Carmazzi, best-selling author and currently ranked as one of the world's top 10 thought leaders in organizational culture and leadership. So everybody's going to be using DC psychology to explain the solutions to overcoming the COVID-19 situation. But what is DC psychology? So we're going to share with you a whole bunch of little excerpts from the video of why you need DC psychology and how it works and what it is. So this is an infographic video, and let's get to part one. Now behind me, I've got an infographic, and this kind of will give you a brief overview of, well, why you need DC psychology in your organization. So let's look at the global statistics on organizational health, all right? So these statistics are around the elements of human capital, but affect how human capital is affecting everything else: innovation, profitability, expansion, having competitive edge, sales, everything, literally. All right, so let's look at one of the elements that a lot of people don't really take into consideration, and that is basically people value ROI. All right, so let's just say that you hire somebody and you pay them $10,000 a month. All right, now this person, obviously you're hiring them at $10,000 a month because they have the experience, knowledge, wisdom, and ability that is worth $10,000 a month. Well, apparently, most people in an organization, okay, are actually performing at 68% of their actual potential. Now, in the beginning, of course, when people first start working, they don't really know the organization, they don't know the systems very well, so they're not going to be as competent, even though they may have the skills. Now, once they get the skills, if they understand the organization, if they're excited and still as passionate as they were when they first started, they're probably going to give you 100%. The problem is that most organizations don't support people maintaining that high level of passion and excitement. And so therefore, most organizations globally are on an average losing about 32% of their employee salary value, which means that basically out of $10,000, you're only getting $6,800 worth of real value for that specific employee. And if you add that up times all of the employees, well, that can be a lot of money. So let's look at the next one. Skill implementation. All right, so only 13% of employees are actually applying the full scope of their skills to solve problems and achieve results. Now, how does that work? Well, okay, let's look at this. Okay, you may have a skill. You may know how to do something. You may have some great ideas. You may be super innovative. But if you're not in an environment that supports you using those skills, oftentimes it's like, oh, Why bother? Or, oh, I'm already too busy. Oh, it's not my job. It's not really my place to say. So these are some of the common factors that you will hear in organizations. In fact, only about 13% of employees globally, okay, based on various studies, are applying their full scope of their skills, which basically means you've got a lot of human potential that is not being utilized by your people if you don't have an environment, or for that matter, an organizational culture that supports it. Which takes us to organizational culture. 51% of employee performance can improve with the right organizational culture, which basically means that right now, if you're paying that $10,000 a month for each employee, or let's say for a group of employees, which means you could get over $15,000 of actual value based on the mean and the norm of employee ROI if you have the right organizational culture. So, how do we develop the right organizational culture? Well, that's why we're here, to apply directive communication psychology. So let's look at the different elements of directive communication psychology. One of the key factors that we do is repair and rebuild organizations and organizational cultures by interactively nurturing awareness. Now, there's different types of awareness, of course, but let's look at specifically some of the elements that we do, okay? So first of all, how people process information, how people get clarity. Now you may think, well, why is that important? Consider this, okay? You're in a situation where you are reasonably successful doing things in your way, your process. When you look at something, there are certain things that just appear to be common sense. And then there are people around you that completely go against the concept of common sense. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by idiots. And in reality, see, the thing is that they simply have a different genetic way of getting clarity, which basically means there is a different process of doing things. And because of that process, their clarity is so obvious that your way seems alien and doesn't seem like common sense. So this oftentimes creates conflict, loss of synergy, and it's one of the essential root causes of why trust breaks down, because when you start to impose your process or your way on other people, well, or when other people start to impose their way on you, you start to feel that essentially they are not really trusting your ability and your way of doing things. And so therefore, you oftentimes just kind of say, okay, I'll just follow you, which of course reduces skill implementation and excitement, passion, and for that matter, the motivation to be proactive. Okay? Now, why people do things is also an element that we look at and nurture awareness of. So primary motivators, which do change from time to time and also from environment to environment, are affecting why you do things. They affect the decisions you make. They also affect the reactions that you have. See, often we will be reacting to people around us, and we don't actually know why they're doing things. But once we understand why people do what they do and understand a little bit more about why we do what we do and why we react, why others react, why people are acting and reacting to each other, we will be able to create environments where we can support each other's why and reduce reaction because we are aware of what is really going on rather than what we just think is going on. The other thing, of course, is who, okay? How others are affecting you, okay? Who are these people, and basically how their actions and or reactions are affecting you. Sometimes you don't really realize that it is a group dynamics thing. See, when you are in one environment, your behavior is different than another. So for example, at work, your behavior, your ideas, your attitudes are different than often with your family, or different again from your friends. And even in a different group of friends, you have different behaviors, not because you decide to act differently, but because different groups or group dynamics bring out different facets of who you are. So knowing how other people are affecting you is going to be a key factor in creating an environment and a culture that is going to support higher performance of you and those people as well. But wait, because that's only half the concept, and the other half is in the next video! Okay, so now we're going to talk about the other half of where we left off in the previous video. It also is important to know how you are affecting others because, well, you're part of the whole team. And that requires an awareness of how your actions, behaviors, attitudes are literally affecting the group environment and creating the dynamic that is happening. Okay? Now, of course, all of this goes back to what kind of an organizational culture you're working in. And we have various tools and whatnot, like the culture evolution evaluation, which essentially is a tool that understands your organizational culture level and helps you to evolve to the next level. So it shows you what evolution you're at and then benchmarks that so that you can move to the next level. So knowing where you are, what organizational culture you're working in is going to help to understand what you currently have so that you can see the progress and evolve to the next level. And of course, all of that understanding and awareness comes down to simple, small modifications that you can do to basically take control of the environment. Okay? Now, when I say simple, these are literally simple things. Once you have various awarenesses, all you need to do is make small modifications in your behavior that are going to affect the entire organizational culture, or at least the culture of the team that you are working in. And you can't do that without knowing what specific small modifications to do. Example would be, let's say you go out with your friends, and let's say that you're normally kind of really excited and you're like, whoa, you know, and you're crazy out there, but suddenly you go out with the same friends, go to the same places, talk about the same things, but now instead you're being very philosophical. Okay? Your friends' reaction, their behaviors will change based on the one modification that you made on how much energy you had, for example, in this case. And by understanding the elements of group dynamics and the psychology behind environment and culture, and all of these different awarenesses, you will be able to very specifically sculpture the kind of organizational culture you want. And of course, that means that you need to apply directive communication strategy. So DC psychology is very well known because of the unique stacked games, exercises, and assessments that basically combine everything. Let's see how that works. This strategy essentially uses various tools that are specifically designed in order to affect organizational culture, plus creating different elements across the organization. And more importantly, this is not just about awareness and learning, this is all about implementation. So the DC strategy is not a learning strategy, it is an implementation strategy, and the tools help us to connect everyone and implement it so that people really understand how they are affecting other people, how they can achieve higher levels of personal excellence based on what they want, and how they are contributing to the evolution of the organizational culture, and at the same time have fun while doing it. So all of the tools and the strategies combined with the awareness basically take us to the elements of nurtured emotions. Okay, now these nurtured emotions create purpose, they create trust, they create engagement, they create confidence, they create excitement and passion. And of course, those nurtured emotions then lead us to various cultivated behaviors like cooperation, low absenteeism, innovation. I mean, an active innovation, not like, oh, hey, here's an idea. Innovation means taking action and doing something, all right? Communication, and communication isn't like, oh, I can listen to you now. It's like really understanding people at their depth, understanding how they get clarity and how you can communicate with them so that they really get it. Instead of like sometimes when you're talking to people and you say, do you understand? And they say, yes, I do. And then they go and do something completely different. Okay? How to develop leadership. All of these emotions develop leadership, they develop teamwork, and of course, they develop proactive action. But ultimately, what it's all about, improved organizational health. And at the end of the day, the result is improved organizational health, where you have more productivity, more competency, better resource efficiency, higher performance, more cost saving, and ultimately more profit as an organization. So I hope that this simple explanation kind of gives you an idea of what directive communication is and how it's going to help your organization to improve the culture and the individuals within that culture to essentially achieve more than you are currently expecting from your people. Just understanding the fact that your people right now are probably not working up to their potential, okay, is a huge factor. And just bringing them, even if you could just bring them up to a higher level of being the best that they can be. And of course, a lot of that requires trust. It requires a sense of feeling value. And directive communication psychology is going to be part of that journey. So the next step is to contact a certified directive communication trainer or consultant to develop your organization. So with that, this is Arthur Carmazzi wishing you
the Colored Brain Communication Inventory. Discover your how and find the root cause of why trust breaks down. Find the genetic process that your brain uses to get clarity. Identify your friends or teammates in your danger zone and get instant solutions by clicking the Additional Insights button to determine how you can build team synergy and transform communication and productivity with your team or organization.
Hi, this is Arthur Carmazzi, best-selling author and currently ranked as one of the world's top 10 thought leaders in organizational culture and leadership. So everybody's going to be using DC psychology to explain the solutions to overcoming the COVID-19 situation. But what is DC psychology? So we're going to share with you a whole bunch of little excerpts from the video of why you need DC psychology and how it works and what it is. So this is an infographic video, and let's get to part one. Now behind me, I've got an infographic, and this kind of will give you a brief overview of, well, why you need DC psychology in your organization. So let's look at the global statistics on organizational health, all right? So these statistics are around the elements of human capital, but affect how human capital is affecting everything else: innovation, profitability, expansion, having competitive edge, sales, everything, literally. All right, so let's look at one of the elements that a lot of people don't really take into consideration, and that is basically people value ROI. All right, so let's just say that you hire somebody and you pay them $10,000 a month. All right, now this person, obviously you're hiring them at $10,000 a month because they have the experience, knowledge, wisdom, and ability that is worth $10,000 a month. Well, apparently, most people in an organization, okay, are actually performing at 68% of their actual potential. Now, in the beginning, of course, when people first start working, they don't really know the organization, they don't know the systems very well, so they're not going to be as competent, even though they may have the skills. Now, once they get the skills, if they understand the organization, if they're excited and still as passionate as they were when they first started, they're probably going to give you 100%. The problem is that most organizations don't support people maintaining that high level of passion and excitement. And so therefore, most organizations globally are on an average losing about 32% of their employee salary value, which means that basically out of $10,000, you're only getting $6,800 worth of real value for that specific employee. And if you add that up times all of the employees, well, that can be a lot of money. So let's look at the next one. Skill implementation. All right, so only 13% of employees are actually applying the full scope of their skills to solve problems and achieve results. Now, how does that work? Well, okay, let's look at this. Okay, you may have a skill. You may know how to do something. You may have some great ideas. You may be super innovative. But if you're not in an environment that supports you using those skills, oftentimes just like, oh, why bother? Or, oh, I'm already too busy. Oh, it's not my job. It's not really my place to say. So these are some of the common factors that you will hear in organizations. In fact, only about 13% of employees globally, okay, based on various studies, are applying their full scope of their skills, which basically means you've got a lot of human potential that is not being utilized by your people if you don't have an environment, or for that matter, an organizational culture that supports it. Which takes us to organizational culture. 51% of employee performance can improve with the right organizational culture, which basically means that right now, if you're paying that $10,000 a month for each employee, or let's say for a group of employees, which means you could get over $15,000 of actual value based on the mean and we are back. Hey,
Yes.
so are you excited about our next awesome speaker?
Yes, very excited, and he is such a wonderful guy. Right.
I know. I mean, it's like, super mad genius that, creates all kinds of really cool design thinking elements to change the world. Dun, dun, dun. Maybe he's not mad.
Yeah.
Okay. But everybody that changes the world is a little bit kind of mad in some way or another, because they'd have to be, otherwise they'd be normal. And who wants that? Okay, so tell us a little bit about Dr. Professor Moriarty. Oh, sorry, not Moriarty.
Murali.
Murali. Yes. Just always the Sherlock Holmes reference.
Okay, right. Our next speaker, the awesome speaker, he is none other than Professor Doctor, and he has another title as a technical specialist or technology specialist, Murali Raman, right?
And Directive Communication Certified Trainer, DCCT. Okay, you might add that one too.
Yeah, good. Yes, we will add more to his title, right? And currently, he is the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Inti International University, right? He just resumed this post very, very recently. And I think let's invite him up to the stage and let's hear from him.
All right, come on in.
Hi, Arthur. Hi, how are you guys doing?
Welcome.
Yeah, we're awesome.
Yes.
So good to be back with the DC family. So good to be back, guys.
You're
Great,
all
great to have you. Great to have you.
Yeah.
Hope that the pandemic is brought about more creativity in all of us. I think it has.
It has. Even Lily.
Yes. And definitely your input will be, probably can help more people, Professor, right? Can help more people in to be more creative.
Yep. I'm sure it will. Let's. You guys want me to start speaking?
Go ahead. Let's get going. All right.
Okay. Let me just
Okay.
quickly share my screen. Yeah.
You, Prof. Yeah.
Thank you once again, DC family, Lili Lau and Atta Kamazi, for having me on board today for a short presentation on design thinking. So, in particular, the role of design thinking in the context of digital transformation. Yeah. So, to look at digital transformation, we really have to understand firstly what digital disruption is. As pointed out by Lili, I recently resumed my position as the Deputy Vice Chancellor at INTI International University. It's been an exciting journey. It's my third week into the new position, and I've been having fun so far. And it's a great team there. So let me quickly dive into the presentation for today. So the outline of my talk as follows. Yeah, just 3 points, which I will probably spin off into multiple viewpoints from different people, different perspectives, as well as some of my own work in the industry and in academia. Yeah. So first we look at the VUCA world. You may have heard this term called VUCA. It's an acronym. I'll explain briefly what that means, particularly in the context of digital disruption and digital transformation. How does VUCA position itself? Or in other words, how does digital disruption add more confusion and more vulnerability and uncertainties in the context of the world today, as we know? And last but not least, what's the role of design thinking in digital transformation? At least how have I used, and my experience in working with numerous corporations, both in Malaysia and in Brunei and in some other countries like Singapore as well, how we've used design thinking to actually help companies think about, transform, and get into real world digital transformation. Yeah. And one thing that I would like to say is the more I get involved in design thinking work, I'm seeing that as a cultural transformation process as well. So which is why it's now part of the DC family as well. And we share this. We share this together with the DC family, right? So it's a cultural thing rather than a systematic tool. That's one way of looking at it, but it requires an entire cultural transformation process, which I will share with all of you shortly as well. So a normal world would look like this. You went to the doctor, you go see your cardiovascular specialist, you get onto a treadmill and you start walking and you start running, and then he gives you a graph like this. Awesome, fantastic. Okay, my heart's normal. This is my regular heart rate. Beautiful. This is the normal world. Same chap, after 5 months, gets onto the treadmill, and this is his reading of the chart, right? Oh my God, this is a VUCA world. It's totally unstable, uncertain. Stress factor, the stress test is increased a bit. A little more gradient is added to the treadmill, and we find that the heart sort of, beats irregularly. Then you get into something called an ischemic heart rhythmic behavior. I'm not a medical doctor. I can't issue medical leave, but a little bit what I know based on what my father had, when he was alive, he suffered from this. So a VUCA world is like this. It's not stable. It's not stable. And let's look at what does VUCA mean. Some of you probably know already. What does the acronym VUCA stand for? So V is volatility, U uncertainty, C complexity, and A ambiguity. So when you add V, U, and C, it creates a total amount of the world is becoming totally ambiguous, right? So we are not sure what's going to happen tomorrow. Well, for those most of us are very, very familiar with pandemic and how decisions are made with regards to SOPs, movement control orders. They can change by the hour. They can change by the minute to a certain extent. Yeah. So volatility, uncertainty, complexity, the world is faced with this. Now let's look at some of the factors that drives or increases the level of VUCA in today's world. Let's look at some of those. Number one, this is a classic. I really love this picture. It's a game. It's a boxing match, right? But not in a physical sense. The trade war between US and China, and if you look at from the time the current incumbent president of the US took office, it's brought tremendous amount of instability in world economy. And as a result of that, the global supply chain is in this whole state of uncertainty as we speak as well. So the longer this dispute or the longer the trade wars or the trade tension exists in the world, coupled with the pandemic that we have today, life's not going to be very beautiful for many of us, especially those who are running micro enterprises or small scale businesses, or probably even individuals like you and me, who in a way is impacted by economic downturn. Yeah. So this is one factor that increases the level of the VUCA-ness, if I may use that term, in the world today. Yeah, the US and China trade tensions. In the context of Malaysia, some of you might be familiar, our GDP is really dependent on oil. Yeah, so we are oil dependent, and oil is a key commodity for us. Oil is a really important factor for our economic stability and economic growth. And again, just like the heart that's irregular, the oil prices are really fluctuating now, yeah, and it's in the downward trend. So again, we're not too sure how long this will last. Will the oil hit back to its glory days of $120 per barrel? We're talking about crude, or is it going to further decline because of the likes of shale producers and so on in some of the countries? So again, another factor, in addition to the US-China trade tensions, the crude oil price, yeah, and especially impacts countries like Malaysia. This is a very nice picture that I took it from rocketspace.com. You can download that picture. Very meaningful and very deep, yeah. So you're looking at this bear in the Arctic that's really surrounded by global warming, and as a result of global warming today, we're not sure how long Mother Earth can actually last. And if you look at how Mother Earth reacts, and when she does react, she reacts massively, yeah, and she holds no fear, and that's when humanity can at one instance be wiped out. Yeah, so we better be careful with Mother Earth, because she's extremely powerful, she's extremely potent, and we owe her to take care of the environment. Yeah, and let's change, and change should start from you and me. So what's our contribution to environment and global warming? We have a role to play, and we should. I haven't gone to design thinking yet, but this is just talking about VUCA and what creates uncertainty in the global business world. And climate change is one of them. This is a picture of Fukushima 2011, Japan. And this picture is very powerful because it really shows when Mother Nature does react, she acts extremely fast. The economic ramifications are huge. People lose lives, and you are not able to respond very quickly. And one element, just how as powerful as the tsunami, today we're talking about, and we are witnessing tremendous amount of what I call digital tsunamis in the world. Digital transformations that's happening as we speak. And this tsunamis or digital transformation that amounts to a tsunami in the business world really disrupt existing business models. And they happen extremely fast. And they do not have to stem from companies that are very big. They may not necessarily stem from companies that are multinationals. They could actually be brought about by several bunch of grad students, teenagers who are really rethinking the way in which the world works. And they are using technology to their advantage to really disturb or disrupt existing business processes. Let's take a look at some examples. I was in a discussion with some of my colleagues in the telco sector several years ago, and my challenge to them was, do you think the telecommunication sector will be sustainable in the long run? Because companies who were not traditionally in the telecommunication sector have started coming into your field. So there's still huge gray in that whole industry, yeah? Because the non-traditional players are into the telecommunication sector. Facebook is an example. And I was reading an article recently which says probably in about 5 to 8 years from now, the three or four most powerful companies in the world are going to be Facebook, Google, yeah, and the bigger boys and girls in the space of social media. So let's look at, and Alibaba is there as well. Grab and Uber were very familiar with the digital disruption that they brought, and just to bring about another case where the entire taxi industry in the North America, to be specific, in the likes of New York and San Francisco, were really suffered as a result of Grab and Uber. So slight innovation in the manner in which anybody now can become a cab driver using a simple app that runs off a cell phone disturbs an entire ecosystem. Yeah? So that's the power of digital disruption and digital technology. Alipay, payment systems, the fintech, the rise of global financial technology-based companies are giving banks for run of the money. And I'll share with you a case study of DBS Bank shortly, and how they actually looked at designing their whole process differently, how they worked with universities, for example, to really rethink their value proposition and their unique selling proposition, or USP, or some call it the unique value proposition. So here, fintechs, again, those who are not in the banking sector are now in the banking sector. And thanks to technology, technology allows them to pivot extremely fast, allows them to pivot very quickly. So the whole point of this chart here and my discussion so far is, in this VUCA world, technology is really playing a major factor that is causing companies to rethink their strategy and their existence. Yeah, a few more examples. Airbnb in the hoteling sector. Yeah, so Airbnb is now having to really rethink, because of the pandemic, how do we offer tourism on the fly, tourism through virtual connection, through tourism in the virtual world, tourism through 3D mode. These are all experiments that they are going through right now. In fact, some of them have piloted a few models here to see how do we survive this pandemic, and how do we still be in the tourism sector yet not physically in that business. Yeah, so again, something to think about. What do we have next? Yeah, the academics, for people like me, universities have to really rethink their business model, because the game has changed and is changing extremely fast. Yeah, I have two boys, teenagers, and they very often question me that, is there a need for universities? Do I really need to go to a university to be successful in life and make decent living? 10 years ago, my answer was yes. I went to university. Your grandfather did, so did his grandfather. From our Malay say, turun temurun, from generations we've been to university. So I guess you got to go to college and go to university. But now, if you ask me, do they have to be successful by joining a university? The answer is not necessarily, because the options are so many. Yeah? And Minerva is a classic example where it's a really different way of making sure students are getting very rich quality education from university. So Minerva is a model where you travel in different parts of the world, you work on projects in different parts of the world throughout project-based internships, and you study in virtual remote centers. You get to travel to the likes of Argentina. My niece was in the program. She just graduated. San Francisco is their base. It's offered by a single institute, the Keck Graduate Institute in Claremont, USA, but it's partners with different institutes throughout the world, and students actually travel every year, and they work on 6 months internships before they graduate. And guess what? Before they finish school, they're already hired by people. My niece is now in Sumitomo Bank in Japan, and she just finished several months ago. She just finished. The point I'm trying to make here is, for academics, for higher institutions of learning, we really have to rethink the model, yeah, in terms of how fast we can ensure that our students are becoming employable, which INTI is very proud of. We have a very high employability rate given our industrial linkage. What more can we do? Yeah, food for thought. And financial, again, spin-off of Alibaba, it's really playing a very important and very powerful role in terms of crowdfunding, in terms of the fintech sector. So again, we have to watch the space very closely. So Coursera, who hasn't heard of Coursera? I mean, in the last 6 or 7 months, the number of people that have signed up for online learning has really increased. So the longer the pandemic is, institutions, as I mentioned, need to really rethink how they offer quality learning material online, right? And Coursera, through its partnership with the likes of MDEC in Malaysia, is offering many courses, and some of them are free. In fact, I signed up for 3 or 4 courses during the first MCO period, when everybody is required to work at home. I thought, let's get into this online world and look at how many courses are there. Thousands of courses you can actually take online, the online world, and some are for free. You may take the exact same course material, you may not get a certificate in the end, but again, digital technology, digital platforms have actually offered us, society, a different way of really gaining access to material and really upskill ourselves. So again, disruption for the traditional academic institutions and institutions that are actually offering programs for upskilling purposes. So something to think about. So to sum everything else, before we get on to design thinking and what role it can play to kind of help companies think through what we need to do next to curb digital disruption and help us transform digitally, Let's take a look at what a definition of digital disruption might be, or what might it look like. And there are thousands of definitions, but I like this very much because it's really spot on, and it really tells you that digital disruption is one of the main concerns for corporate leaders around the world. And it's a main concern because it really changes the landscape and the value proposition of the existence of businesses. I told you I'll talk about a bank, and let's look at a case study of DG Bank in Singapore, which is a subsidiary of DBS Bank, one of the largest banking groups in Singapore, if I'm not mistaken, is the largest banking group in Singapore, DBS Bank. Piyush Gupta was really thinking about, the CEO, was really thinking about how fast can we get into the digital space, because society, there's demand for quick access, there's demand for mobile banking, there's demand for banking on the go. So what they did was they actually hired not professionals, but they hired and they worked with universities. Yeah, so they brought in interns to really look at, let's use some creative thinking. Let's look at some examples of design thinking and how we can actually build very quick prototypes to actually build mobile apps. And they launched the DG Bank very successfully. They launched DG Bank very successfully in India. Yeah, and you'd be wondering why they went to India. Why didn't they start off in Singapore? But they're probably another time to look at that case in detail. But in essence, today with an app like DG Bank, you could open your savings account in less than 90 seconds. Yeah, in 90 seconds. So think about banking in the olden days and think about banking now. 90 seconds, you get a bank account in the online world. Oh my God, fantastic. Yeah. So that's how they've really shifted. And why did they use a dinosaur? And why did they use Sachin Tendulkar as an icon in India? And why did they use a dinosaur to sort of promote this product or subsidiary called DG Bank in India? Well, they are really saying the dinosaurs do not have to be extinct. The dinosaur can really redesign themselves and become digital as well. So this is their digital dinosaur, and their so-called sort of avatar, or their icon when they actually launched that in India. So it's a pretty interesting case of DBS Bank and DG Bank in India. I met a friend of mine in a conference. This is for the Indonesians out there. You may have heard of Habibi Garden, Indonesia. So how digital technologies is actually helping even the farming communities. Even some of the most remote parts in Africa now are using simple technology to really help them improve yields, make payments, part of the global supply chain systems. You got M-Pesa in Kenya, they're doing a fantastic job. And Indonesia. So Habibi Garden is a very simple concept that looks at how IoT can help farmers increase their yields. And when I met the founder, and I said, what do you do for a living? He said, I talk to plants. I said, what? He said, no, my plants talk to me. I said, okay, how does your plant talk to you? He says, well, they send me data. Where do they send you data from? Where they send me data through my sensors. And how do you know they're sending you the correct data? Well, the IoT sensors allows me to track their humidity, the soil condition. Do they need more water? Do they need more heat? Do they need less heat? Whatever else, that is be programmed to do. And on my phone. So as a result of that, I'm able to talk to my plants in return by giving them the proper nutrients, by giving them sufficient light, sufficient heat to ensure the yields are increased. So again, a little bit of creativity using technology that exists out there to sort of transform the value proposition of our reason for being. Yeah, or in Sanskrit term is dharma, the dharmic reason for a farmer. How do I ensure that my plants are taken care of using technology? So that's where, again, a power of design and power of being very creative comes from. Yeah. Again, an innovation like a self-driving car, an autonomous vehicle, you could actually look at the number of industries that can actually be impacted if this becomes mainstream. It's not mainstream yet, but if it does, you could at least list about 30 to 35 different industries that can be impacted by this sheer innovation, either positively or negatively. Now, global rankings in terms of the most innovative countries, and these are also the countries where they emphasize a lot in terms of looking at design thinking as part of their cultural transformation. Is a nation, is a whole, Switzerland, it's there, Sweden, UK. This is the list, so you could download and just go through the cases yourself. These are all 2020 ranking. Malaysia is top 40. I think we are somewhere between 30 to 34, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the statistics here. We're doing okay, but we can do better. And these are the nations in terms of how innovative they are. On the social side of things, the impact of digital transformation, I picked this from the Tribune, 2018 April, very interesting article. Engineer marries robotic girlfriend to appease his pushy parents. So again, one aspect of digital transformation, not only for business models, is also how the society react and interact with each other. In Japan, based on reading of cases as well, the status of a man now is how many robots that he has and how many robot girlfriends that he can actually bring to a party. It's one way of looking at society. So here, an engineer marries robotic girlfriend to appease his pushy parents is again food for thought. How further will digital transformation impact our lives? I think it's something that we need to think about. A very beautiful case here again on digital transformation that happens in different parts of China through Alibaba and Taobao. These are called Taobao villages. So the point that Jack Ma and team proved to the world is with a bit of innovative thinking, with a bit of creativity, and in partnerships through the collaborative model of public and private partnership model that you're probably familiar with, they went into remote parts of China to look at what was their core value offering. So in this case, you see a picture of people making dumplings, right? Chinese dumplings. And these Chinese dumplings are Chinese dumplings. You cannot digitize the dumpling, but you can digitize the process. So all they did was, Alibaba, let's talk to the people in this province, went down to that villages and say, how can we actually help you go global? How can we actually collaboratively work together to create e-commerce startups for you guys, e-commerce shops for you guys, and actually help you promote your product in China for domestic consumption and also to the international world, international community. Yeah? So from one sample, they actually moved on into numerous villages throughout China now. And again, this is a model that many of the countries are trying to emulate from Taobao village concept. And these are different industries now that they are hitting: your clothes, furniture, shoes, and so on. Again, if you're interested in this and how you can actually use some element of creativity and design, it's actually helping people transform right at the level of villages and remote communities as well. Because technology is there. Technology is already there. It's a matter of how we engage with technology, using it as an enabler to digitally transform, to make lives more meaningful for communities, for states, for the country, and for ourselves at the end. So again here, before we look at design thinking, I'm conscious of time. VUCA requires certain leadership transformation, certain thought processes that require shifting from a leadership perspective. So volatility, you need clarity of vision. Yeah, so it's like a mirror image. So V stands for volatility. From a leadership perspective, the leaders have to have clarity of vision. How are we going to be changed in the future? How should we change before we are changed by digital disruption or digital transformation that happens for the industry or by other companies that are so-called our competitors and so on. So we have to have very good reading of the industry, and we need to be ahead of the game. You know? Staying ahead of the curve. It's like what's the vision that we have in relation to digital transformation 5 to 10 years from now? Where do we see the world going? So in the uncertain world, what we need to have is leaders that understand. They understand the business models, they understand the business logic, they understand the tools that can help them to rethink and redefine themselves. And an example of that might be design thinking, might be business model canvassing, it might be financial modeling, and of course, directive communication psychology, looking at cultural transformation, because you may have tools, but without the cultural transformation as the bedrock of change, tools are tools. And that's my experience, and I'll comment more about that shortly. Yeah? So in a complex world, you need leaders that have commitment, and they're committed to the cause, and they're committed to ensuring that their organizations can transform, must transform, to ensure that the overall well-being of the employees and the company is still there. Yeah? That the reason for their existence is there, and it survives over time. And in an ambiguous world, you need to be agile. We cannot keep doing the same old things in the same old way. We have to be agile. We have to go down to the ground and help our people understand what agility is and how fast should decisions be made. Yeah, and this is where an entire shift of leadership thinking is a must as well to ensure we manage VUCA better. Olivetti, a long time ago, said that there will not be any company that can actually overtake our business. Then came IBM. The rest was history for Olivetti. Axel Springer, on the other hand, is a very powerful German publishing house. The print media traditionally, they redefined their thought process. They engaged with design thinkers. The entire C-suite, minus the group CEO, told the C-level to go spend 6 months in Silicon Valley, understand what design thinking is, work with startup companies, look at how they transform, look at their culture, and they were flown economy. They were not flown in business class to go to Silicon Valley. They stayed in motels, not hotels. And for 6 months, they really understood the pulse of a startup leader and the pains of a startup company. So when they came back, the CEO said, now tell us what we need to do. Together, they just turned. It's like turning a tanker around. It wasn't really hard, but that entire transformation from a very print-based focus, the model evolved, the model shift. And again, thanks to innovative thinking and cultural transformation. Yeah, Alibaba, I've shared, they're doing tremendous amount of good work in the world today. And in the last month, biggest agent of change in terms of digital transformation is the pandemic. So many people, even at the individual level now, have become a lot more creative because they need to eat. You and I need to eat. If we don't eat, we die, period. We know that for a time. So how do I, if I lose my job tomorrow, what do I do? How do I remain relevant in the economy? And thanks to digital technologies, thanks to digital platforms, thanks to digital jobs that are out there, thanks to the likes of many agencies in Malaysia and beyond, and in Malaysia, close to MDEC, you look at a lot of digital transformation initiatives, things like GLOW, things like e-usahawan or e-entrepreneurship. These are skills that we can quickly understand and quickly we can receive and play a mainstream part in the digital economy to ensure that we remain relevant. I like the case of this person who lost his job in a factory. It's published in the Star, probably around April or May this year. And from losing his job, he didn't lament for a very long time. He said, I'm going to pivot my life and I'm going to start selling fish and I'm going to go and look at people who actually catch fish. And I'm going to actually create a website, a simple website that allows others, because they can't go to the this very long queues in the pasar malam and in the markets, right? Order online. So he became a distributor of fish and he was selling up to 60 kilograms of fish a day, getting from his regular pool of suppliers, and he's still doing that for a living now. Yeah? So again, it's about mindset change, it's about mindset shift. So enter design thinking. So how can we use design thinking, therefore, to navigate change in the digital world? Innovation is not necessarily an event. Innovation does not really happen with that spark. Sometimes it does, but for most cases, innovation is a systematic process. And that's where design thinking comes. It's a very systematic process to actually navigate change and produce a solution that's probably very innovative to address a problem given an organization or a community or a country for that matter. Yeah. Again, a case study of one of the companies early on when they used design thinking. Tide was a product by Procter & Gamble, and Procter & Gamble's Tide original launch was a failure. This was the original pitch. Nothing like it. Tide, Procter & Gamble, newly washed day miracle. They were hitting the same market. The same old housewife was being bombarded with this advertisement on media, not even social media in those days, targeting her for sales. But guess what? If you buy Fab or if you buy Breeze, chances are you're not going to switch because it's a very sticky product. Detergent is a very sticky product. So what they did was look at design thinking and how do we talk to people that's not part of our mainstream market now? Who are the other consumers that were beyond housewives? And let's stop being stereotypical of who buys a detergent in a household, right? So they reinvented themselves and it became a 1 billion product for Procter & Gamble because they talked to the market that was beyond the housewife. They met groups of people like this, people who really cared about their clothes and they cared about their fabric, and jeans meant a lot to them. So engaging in empathy modeling, persona development, ideation, group collaboration, they came up with Tide in liquid form for the very first time. And they removed the word cleaned and replace the word clean with care. So that means Tide now doesn't clean your jeans, but it cares for your jeans. So it appealed to this group. Yeah. So again, what design thinking as a process allows you to do or allows us to do in a 5-stage process that you have there: empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test. I subscribe to the Stanford design thinking model because I'm a fully certified Stanford design thinker from Stanford University, Palo Alto. And this is the model that we use. So again, using a 5-stage process, helping Tide, a failed product, to really redefine itself for a company called Procter & Gamble by understanding what the market wants, which essentially in digital transformation, if we know what the gaps are in the market, that's when we can probably bring about very positive change. Yeah. So again, as a process is systematic, and when you have and apply systematic transformative processes like design thinking, it could lead to innovation for the organization. So other parts of the world where we've used this, and my experience is working with TM, and where we met when we did, how do we transform the mindset of the younger generation, the millennials, to use a mobile product? Yeah, to use a mobile product. So we engage in design thinking, and a main component of design thinking is really understanding the pain point or the issues and challenges that the consumers are actually facing, the end users of a product. If it's within the organization, the end user, the end customer, yeah, who uses the product. If it's internally, it's our employees. If it's external, it's our market, and so on. So our customers, the market. So what were they thinking about? What were the gaps in terms of mobile products out there? What do they want from a SIM card? How should that SIM card look? What are the features? How quick should the download speeds be? So a lot of empathy was actually done with groups of millennials, yeah, and in Kuala Lumpur and the Klang Valley area. And Unify Mobile was launched. So when they launched Unify Mobile, more than 1 million SIMs in 2 weeks, unheard of before, more than 0.5 million app downloads in a month, in that space of 1 month. Yeah. So again, thanks to really understanding the consumers, understanding what the market wants. Again, the first stage in design thinking is empathy. So again, here I was featured in the Star not too long ago. We had a project with the National Union of Teaching NUTP, teaching professions. Yeah. So the issue was that teachers need to be more creative in delivering classes. Teaching and learning experience has to be more engaging for students. So we embarked on a project where we brought in teachers from all over Malaysia. I think about 45 of them. We spent about 3 days running boot camps. It's just like, how do we use design thinking to just ignite the creative spark within them? How do we transform their thought process by using very structured approach? And some of them said, my God, this is fantastic, because we haven't thought about delivering our subject this way. And we haven't thought about addressing the problem that we are facing now by looking at it from a very different perspective, by looking at empathy, by looking at define, by looking at ideate, by looking at prototyping, by looking at how we test the prototypes that we actually built. So again, here, a case that I shared, that I had experience with working with teachers on this. Other companies, world-renowned companies that have embedded design thinking as part of their cultural transformation process, particularly in the context of digital transformation. Airbnb is using it as part of their culture. Airbnb is using design thinking as part of their whole cultural shift. How do we really engage with the people that we work with? How do we engage with our employees better? How we understand what employees want? How we really understand the market and how the market dynamics are, especially in the pandemic now, yeah? Karen Campbell, it's got Pill Pack. So they came up with innovative way of actually packing our tablets. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with issues that you might have when you're traveling long distance. You're going for about 2 months. I have, assuming not me, for an example, hypothetically speaking, I have diabetes, blood pressure, heart problems, asthma, I have supplements, whatever else. How am I going to pack all of this? So Karen and Campbell used a highly innovative process. Let's really come up with prototypes and do ideation and really understand what are the pain points of the customers, again, using design thinking. They invented very beautiful packaging material. And in 2018, they grew so big that Amazon bought them for a cool 1 billion, yeah, Pill Pack. Sorry, a Pill Pack. It's not only for commercial purposes, yeah, for the audience out there. You could use design thinking also to transform how we build sanitization projects, like in Ghana and some parts of Africa. You use design thinking to really rethink when there's an issue of scarcity. How do we build toilets? It's been applied in that way as well. Yeah, it's called the Clean Team Project in Ghana. And Stanford used design thinking to redesign the look and feel of the hospital, making it more palatable to both patients and also the administrators who were there, and largely by really understanding what were the key challenges in existing processes and existing issues that the patients actually had, patients and administrators of the hospital. So again, it was used for that purpose. So once again, design thinking is a user-centric collaborative approach to foster innovative solutions for a given problem. And since we're addressing digital transformation today, we're really looking at how can I help my customers, my stakeholders to come up with creative solutions to address their pain points, the problems that they actually have, in a collaborative way. In the past, when you look at digital transformation, people will say, okay, this is an IT issue. Digital, let's call a CTO, let's call the CIO and their team, they will take care of it. No, it's not about that. So when you look at design thinking, it's about bringing a bunch of people from diverse background together, sitting in a common platform, understanding each other, and really focusing on the problem that the company is actually facing, or the market in terms of what the market gaps are, and really understanding that from the market perspective, coming up with a common solution that might be really wonderful. Yeah? So it's a 5-stage process. You often start with empathy. What does empathy mean? Developing an understanding of the challenge. For example, if there's a gap in my supply chain, how now can I address that particular gap? What's causing the gap? What's causing the pain point for the customers in that process? Yeah. And from there, I'm really defining, I'm narrowing down from a very broad perspective, from empathy, from data collection. I'm really coming down and making it a lot more clear what exactly are their top 3 challenges or top 4 challenges, and narrowing it down for this. What is the major pain point here? What's the major bottleneck here? Then ideation. How can I actually come up with different multiple solutions? Ideation is nothing but brainstorming. Yeah. Some say, okay, ideation, design thinking, old wine, new bottle, wrong. Old wine, new bottle, yes, for ideation perhaps. But when you do brainstorming without understanding what the gaps are from the market perspective, from your end user perspective, that's where design thinking comes as a systematic process and a systematic tool. This phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 4, from a bunch of ideas, how do I now narrow it down to a prototype, a solution that might be able to address this issue that my market is facing or that my company is currently facing. Yeah, and we test it. And again, a notion that we should actually correct when we look at prototype, it's not only hardware or software that is actually built, but it can even be certain process changes. It can be workflow changes. It can be restructuring. It can be a particular brand design. Look at what the case of Procter & Gamble's Tide that I shared earlier. Yeah, so it can be really something from a marketing perspective as well. So it's open. It's really open. So in the context of design thinking, the term prototype is used rather broadly, in a more broader fashion. So again, to recap, and this is a summary that I had the rare opportunity of talking to Astro Teller, head of Google X, when I was in Silicon Valley. And my question was, why design thinking? And he says the outcome can actually be threefold. One, you develop customer-centric solutions because you are more, you tend to empathize more with people. And you tend to have this whole empathetic culture of really understanding people's pain point. And if your leaders in the organization are able to do that, then you come up with customer-centric solutions, be it for the market or be it for in-house transformation projects. Yeah, moonshot thinking. So this is where breakthrough ideas or groundbreaking ideas. So if you go through a design thinking session, we really train you how to think, what's a moonshot idea? What's ideas that are really quick wins? What are ideas that are delightful versus what are ideas that are really, really transformational, haven't thought about? So we go through that drill. And the other final outcome would be when you combine 1 and 2, you get to 3, which is your organizational goals and requirements are addressed. Again, how do we achieve that? Through a 5-stage process: empathy, refine, ideate, prototype, and test. Arthur, in his videos earlier, and I'm sure he's been talking about this together with Lily as well, regardless of the tool that we use to the audience, what we need is a mindset shift. We need hearts that want to change, and we need the mind to be creative. The heart ignites the mind to actually bring about change. And with that, you create that spirit of transformation for organizations. Yeah. And that's when you achieve very beautiful and very meaningful results. So to quickly recap, we are living in a VUCA world. The world is changing extremely fast. It's very vulnerable, totally uncertain. It's very complex. It's very ambiguous. Yeah. And digital transformation and rapid expansion and development of technology creates new processes, creates new products, creates new services. So therefore, as people change, it forces the existing business thinkers to also really rethink their business model as well. Do I shift? How do I pivot, especially in pandemic situation? And therefore, there's a continuous rethink of strategy that is really required for organizations and individuals alike. And that's where design thinking comes in. It really helps leaders in transformative agendas to remain focused on the end user recipients of change. Now, to me, you could talk about technology the whole day. Technology is only a tool. How best can we really make sense of the tool from the end user perspective? How can we improve the life of others? So if that is the reason for our existence, if I'm passionate about improving the lives of people that I work with, which I am, by the way, I really enjoy seeing others grow in an organization. I put them first. That's when you will start looking at how can I make life more meaningful for people through design thinking. Okay. Thank you very much. That's my email. Feel free to write. Feel free to contact Lily and Arthur. Back to you guys. I'm not sure if there are questions. If there are, I'll be happy to make an attempt to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Raleigh. It was really a wonderful and insightful session, and I can assure you, you've been getting many questions and comments. Let me pick up, let me see, there are a few here. Okay, there's one here by Li Wenfeng, right? That says, are there instances where design thinking may not be helpful for companies to transform digitally? What would you suggest to address such concern?
Oh, this is where I go back to what Arthur talked about earlier in his promotional videos. I'm not sure if he's doing a quick recap. This is where you combine the power of design thinking as a tool with the power of DC psychology. I think DC psychology talks about transformation culturally, right? You may have a beautiful tool. You may have a tool called business model canvas, called design thinking, called Six Sigma. You could give it another acronym. And Arthur is very good with acronyms as well. He could design an acronym in every 5 minutes. But without the whole spirit of change, without people coming together in the organization, it's not going to work. Sorry, it's not going to work. And I've been, I guess, long enough in the industry and in academia, lost enough hair, as you can see, to confirm that transformation without clarity of leadership, transformation without clarity of culture, transformation without people coming together, it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all. And let me just share. I've worked on design thinking projects. I can't name the companies because of NDA purposes. There was a case of this bank which wanted to get into design thinking. Yeah, so they said, "Professor, can you do a 5-day design thinking boot camp for you?" I said, "Yeah, sure. What do you want me to do it for?" He said, "No, we want to become more innovative." I said, "Good. Who's going to come?" "Oh, we're sending our C-5." C-5, for those of you not familiar, people somewhere in the organization, probably the lower part of the pyramid. I'm not saying they are not doing good work in the company, don't get me wrong. They're very important, equally important. Everybody is important in the organization. But I said it's got to start with the top. It can be a wonderful boot camp. It can be a very powerful, innovative session. At the end, they may have 50 different ideas, but if the leaders are not buying into this transformation, how do you transform? So it didn't really work. It didn't really work. Another company that we worked with, again, also a bank, and I shared the prior experience with them. They said, okay, we will sign up first. So we worked with the C, and the C level got it. They said, okay, this is culture, this is transformation, this is what we need to do, let's do it. So from the C, and then it's cascaded down. But in the end, it's about, totally agree with Arthur and Lily, it's about cultural shift. Yeah. So you need that to be embedded in the DNA of the company.
I see. Okay, great. And let's move on. We have quite a
I think
few.
Arthur had a comment, Lily.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to connect with, the element of culture, because, that whole thing of creating a culture is not just even again, just even the senior management. If they think, oh, we're going to create the culture and we're going to make it happen, well, then it also doesn't work. So you have to have both sides. You have to have the people on the bottom, but you have to have the people on the top that are supporting the people on the bottom to guide and create the culture itself. Because these days, a top-down culture initiative is not going to work, simply because
I mean, imagine just do the math, right? 5 people at the top trying to get 1,000 people at the bottom, trying to get them to say, okay, think what I think and believe what I believe, compared to 1,000 people on the bottom, connecting and getting together to decide how they want to have their culture, and and then sharing it with the top. And the secret is that most of the time it's aligned. It's just different perspectives of the same thing, but they're usually aligned. Okay.
Right.
But of course, the senior management does have to be involved, because if they're not, you're right. It just doesn't work. I mean, we also, speaking of clients in Malaysia, we were asked to come in to pitch for an airline in Malaysia. I'm not going to tell you what name it is, but it's a government subsidized airline. And the senior management basically said, "Oh, we're too busy." And I said, "But it won't work if you don't participate." And they said, "Well, sorry." Okay, so obviously we didn't get the program, but I mean that, and that was one of these, while we did the same kind of thing for Emirates, and Emirates was a huge success.
Yeah. And the other interesting thing I want to share, Lily and Arthur, if I may, I'm not sure if I have time. I try to see, when you do ideation, right? So part of the whole design process, you put people in teams, and I tried bringing in color brain into this. So I said, can I group all greens into one group, all reds? I mean, for those of you who are not familiar, you should do a color brain course to really understand what is your brain, how it works, and what the brain is not. It's a fantastic program. The reds in one group, the purples in one group, and you find that the ideas tend to be very different. The greens are the first to come up with ideas that make not much sense sometimes. Just throwing, I think this is good. I think this can go. I think this can go. I think this can. And the reds will probably take a whole day to really decide for one idea. They're fighting more than they're actually. What's the end game? I got to really go in. Guys, it's just ideation. First round. Just go with it. And the purple, of course, will try and say, what is this idea for? Who are we going to serve? How big is the market? How much budget do we have? So, drop all that, guys. Drop all that. It's just a brainstorming session. So that's pretty interesting. So I just thought I would share that. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. We've, we've done tons of research with Colored Brain, and right. We mix them and stuff. And then, of course, I mean, that's one of the key things, is the ability to, especially when it comes to Colored Brain and ideation, it is the ability to be able to connect with other processes, other clarity getting processes, right. In order to really support a holistic perspective of various different ideas and concepts, in order to really make something work. Because, so for example, a green brain by themselves, they're going to come up with lots of ideas. But when you mix a red brain in with the green brains, the red brain's going to be asking questions. It's going to make the green brains think, oh, like, right. that.
That's right.
And then that's going to help them, and that's going to get more, input from the red brains. And so there's this synergy that, really just kind of makes things happen.
Correct. So get in touch with the Malaysians, get in touch with Lily Lau. If you want to venture further, get in touch with Arthur, go to Bali.
Yeah. Okay.
If you want to do
online,
that works too.
Hang on. Yeah, we have one more question, which I think that we should put it up, and I think this is very interesting. By Elena Fang, what she says here: digital transformation disrupt the society, the humanities. Example: the replacement of girlfriend with robotic girlfriend. Human jobs are replaced with robots. How should we integrate both using design thinking? That's the question, Prof.
Definitely.
Okay.
I personally think that women should get robotic boyfriends. That way they won't argue with them.
And vice versa, Arthur, vice versa as well.
There you go.
So, Elena, this is a fantastic question. So I think I made that comment, but let me make myself clear again. I see robots as tools as well. So if you look at a robot, you could have a factory that's totally run by robots, right? But still, at some point, you would need operators. You would need people who are designing this. So there is definitely an opportunity for man and machine to work together. And when they can actually work together, that's when you really strike the balance, yeah? So when you look at jobs that are being replaced as well, I mean, think about it. 50 years ago, someone says, "What are you studying?" You say, I want to be a data analyst." You say, what are we talking about, data analyst? What does a data analyst do? Data is data, right? Why do I need to analyze data? But today it's a profession. Business intelligence is a profession, right? So what the point we're trying to make here is, as we progress as society, the nature of jobs are changing. They're changing very fast. And the things that our students need to learn, they are changing very fast as well. So therefore, yes, I do agree that certain jobs are being replaced with robots. The lower skilled jobs might be replaced by robots. But even in that space, how do we build robots to replace their jobs? You require human intervention. And that's where the design process actually comes. Simplification of the process flow. I mean, if you're familiar with enterprise resource planning system, let's go back to ERP days and SAP and so on, right? So before you build the tool, you've got to really understand the process. What are the processes? What are the issues? What are the gaps there? And for that, you really need the human brain to come. But you could also say that we can even automate that process by looking at a robot to streamline work processes. Yeah, but not there yet. Getting there though. So, but in other words, there's still a lot of opportunities for us. The world is shifting very fast, and definitely we will coexist, and we are. I have 2 robots, by the way, in my house. One's called DB. DB is our vacuum cleaner, and the other one is Robbie. Robbie is a better vacuum cleaner because DB is dysfunctional, erratic behavior.
So it does all the cleaning jobs, Prof, is it?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, nothing beats the hand. Satisfaction comes when I intervene myself. So thanks, Elena, for the question. Thanks, Lily. Thank you, Arthur, for the opportunity to talk to you again.
Okay, and just one last question for you, Prof. Right? Since now we are still in this pandemic, right, and everybody is talking about the vaccine, and there's trying to see when it's coming and all that. How do you think design thinking, right, can be used, in helping this whole pandemic? Well, it's a very big question anyway. Just whatever. Yeah.
Definitely not for creating vaccines, because we know what the issues are. But I guess where people are applying it, Lily, as I mentioned, is just how do you really pivot your existing business models, right? So think about the guy who started selling fish because he lost his job in a factory, right? So very quickly he started coming up with design of his website, usability. So he has to, in other words, convert himself to a innovative thinker, a design thinker, to really address the pain point of his customers, right? How do I make it more efficient for them? How do I engage with the likes of Grab or Food Panda, whoever else, and the delivery guys, Lala Move, whoever else we have in Malaysia, to really create a better ecosystem for distribution of fish. So that's where the power of design comes. I wish I could answer the question on the vaccine, but I don't think even the president of America knows that answer right now.
Okay.
We're not going to go into what the president actually does know, okay?
Okay.
So I guess that's it. So thank you so much, okay, because we got our next speaker coming up in 5 minutes. And of course, don't forget that after the next speaker, we also have the webinar, okay, today, which is if you're a trainer or a coach, okay? So don't forget to go to, the link right now that is on the screen. Okay, so this webinar is going to be about literally what are some of the new technologies, new tools that you can use. In fact, we're going to look at 3 new tools. This is new stuff, not the basic DC stuff that will literally help to transform coaching and training into a fusion type of result-based system. So don't forget to join us for that webinar today at 5:30 Indonesia, well, actually Bali, Malaysia, and Singapore time, and 11:30 Europe time, because we got Alex Karpov, the Russian scientist who was working on coaching since he was a child. Okay, so that is going to be a really fun day.
And we got final speaker. Okay. Last but certainly not the least awesome. Okay, because we have none other than the original youngest directive communication psychology trainer. Of course, this was a long time ago before he got old, right? But this is literally when he first started. He was 22 years old, and he was like ready to go and make an impact, and he has made a huge impact. Starting his career with DC Psychology, and of course all of the marketing stuff that went with it. Anshul Dhingra at the time, later on to be known as Dr. Anshul Dhingra, who is now one of the top trainers in India, working for huge organizations as well as literally going throughout the entire Indian continent, making an impact through large organizations as well as small and medium-sized businesses. So, Anshul, okay, we are excited to hear what you have to say today.
Welcome, Dr. Anshul.
There he is.
Hi, good afternoon, Arthur. How are you? Hi, Lily.
Hi, good afternoon. Nice to see you. Hope you are getting on fine.
Yes, I'm fine now. Thank you so much, Arthur, for such a splendid introduction. And it's all started with DC. It's still continuing with DC. Thanks to you. Thanks to the love, support for last 10 years now, almost 11 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, you really are old. Okay.
Oh my.
True.
All right. Hey, Anshul, so what are you gonna be talking to us about today?
So I will be sharing certain fundamentals of digitalization, and based on certain assessments and reports, what COVID has created an opportunity, as well as a very amazing opportunity for organization. And if they don't understand, the tagline is "Go digital or go dark."
There you go.
So it's really going to be a lot of inputs, strategical inputs for people, what can stop change and how they can bring change. So it will start with why, then what, and then how.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, okay, so we got people waiting for you, so let's get to it. All right. And take it away, Anshul.
Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Arthur. Let me just start sharing my screen. Okay, just a second. Just 1 second.
See, this is what happens with technology, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Go digital, go dark.
Yeah. Is my screen visible? Is my presentation visible?
You are all good, Anshul. Ready? We can see everything. We can see you. We can see the presentation. You are online.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Arthur and Lily, for this wonderful opportunity. So once again, welcome all the viewers right now who are watching this. This presentation is going to add a lot of value. I am going to share a lot of insights with facts, figures, strategical blueprint, how you can bring digitalization and what can stop digitalization. So this presentation is really going to have an impact in your business. So stay tuned till the end and make sure you make all the notes from this presentation. So before I move ahead, I want to share some key findings of the COVID-19 Digital Engagement Report by Twilio. This is just for a reference purpose. I will start reading it. Very important to understand, COVID-19 was a digital accelerant of the decade. COVID-19 accelerated companies' digital communication strategies by a global average of 6 years. Previous inhibitors to innovations have been broken down. Almost 4 in 5, that is 77% respondents says that COVID-19 increased their budget for digital transformation, of which 36%, more than any other country surveyed, that said that it increased dramatically. Companies report easing of barriers such as lack of clear strategy, getting executive approvals, reluctant to replace legacy softwares, and lack of time. It propelled some industries further than others, those accelerating with digital transformation more significantly in response to COVID-19 were tech companies, 78%, dear friends, followed by energy, 77%, healthcare, 74%, construction, 71%, retail, 70%. More, digital technologies have opened up definite future remote work opportunities. Almost 99% of business surveyed agreed that digital technologies will open up a future of continued remote work. 4 in 5 tech companies answered definitely yes, for which retail and healthcare businesses, it was 69%, energy, 68%, construction, 65%, manufacturing and automotive, 63%, and professional services, 62%. Digital communication is the new lifeblood for business. Almost all global companies, 95% of them are seeking new ways to engage with customers as a result of COVID-19. 92% say transforming digital communication is extremely or very critical to address current business challenges. Omni-channel communication is taking on new importance. If you are not present everywhere where your customers are looking for you, then chances of you losing business post-COVID is very high. 92% of the business say that their organization is very or somewhat likely to expand digital communication channel as the world reopen, with almost 2/3, 60% are very likely to do that. So these are some of the findings. Now, in a nutshell, what I want to share, what happened and what we saw in the business as a consultant, as a coach, we saw 2 scenarios. Me and my team, people across, saw 2 scenarios. There were one business, those who were reluctant to embrace digitalization. Now, what happened with those businesses? The pandemic is a reality check for businesses that have been reluctant to embrace digital transformation and now find themselves woefully unprepared. People who are not adopting digital learning, digital communication, digital processes, now they are finding themselves unprepared. They are in stress. And on top of the stress of potentially health compromised employees, a sudden and dramatic drop in demand and total economic uncertainty, what happens is these digital laggards are now scrambling to migrate their operations and workforce to a virtual environment. So now when they are trying to do it everything very fast, when they are not really prepared, what is happening? We say that fast and furious is the name of the game when it comes to digital innovation. And fast and frantic can lead to mistakes. I am again repeating this statement. Fast and furious is a wonderful way towards digitalization. But even when you are not prepared and you want to respond because of this pandemic, there could be a situation where you can end up in fast and frantic and can lead to mistakes. So be aware of that. There was another scenario. There were businesses who were proactive to embrace digitalization. What happened with them? The businesses that had not only developed digital strategies but executed them on priority before pandemic, today are in a position to leapfrog their less nimble competitors, my dear friends. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean they are not facing challenges? Does that mean COVID-19 has not impacted them? No, it doesn't mean that. It means they are more prepared to handle that crisis. That isn't to understate that COVID-19 related challenges they are not facing. Irrespective of the current level of their digital maturity, they are still facing certain challenges. But what happens is going digital in and of itself isn't a panacea to all that ails businesses in the current economic environment. They do, however, have significantly, what happens with them now, what advantage they have is they have significantly more tools at their disposal to not only weather the storm, but to come out on the other side more stronger. Now, what is the conclusion, dear friends? Conclusion is, if there were a lingering doubt about the necessity of digitalization and moving towards digital transformation to business longevity, the coronavirus has silenced all of them. In today's contactless world, where the vast majority of interaction with customers and employees are taking place virtually, people at large have accepted, with rare exception, that operating digitally is the way to stay in business in future. Be it any part of the business, be it any part, and hence the slogan is strong and loud. It's go digital or go dark. Again, I'm repeating it. It's go digital or go dark. Now I want to give you, there are 3 stages of digital transformation. And whenever you search on Google, there are a lot of different definitions for different elements. Some club these definitions, some say different. I just want to give you an overview that there is first a process of digitization. What does it call? It's called fixing the past, because converting your information into digital assets is the process of digitization. Then comes digitalization, bringing everything digitally, connecting everything digitally, focusing on the present. Digitalization is for the present. And moving your organization towards a digital transformation is called creating the future. I want to give you certain definitions of digitalization, which is more relevant to me, which I find more relevant when I did a research on this topic. The first definition, which made sense to me, is digitalization is the use of digital technologies to change a business model and provide new revenue and value producing opportunities. It is the process of moving to a digital business. Digitalization increases productivity, efficiency while reducing cost. The process toward digitalization also leads to innovative business model and digital products. Another wonderful definition is digitalization is a strategy or process that goes beyond the implementation of technology to imply a deeper core change to the entire business model and evolution of work. And as per various research, you might have also heard, read, the process, the model of the world, the working business thought process or operating model is moving towards humanization, is moving towards more humane approach, is moving towards creating a culture to bring a sustainable revolution or a change within the organization. Digitalization improves an existing business processes but does not change or transform them. That is to say, it takes a process from a human-driven events or series of events to a software-driven, making it more efficient and effective. However, these definitions make sense. But today, if you go in depth and understanding this, digitalization has a very strong humane aspect attached to it. Unless that humane aspect is taken care, digitalization might be a challenge for most organizations. Now, how experts foresee the scope of digitalization in future post-pandemic? In healthcare, there is a prediction that telehealth doctors will replace traditional annual physical by 2025. So there is a huge opportunity for doctors to be on the path of digitalization. A wonderful, if you see in real estate, there are certain various places there has been construction norms now that wherever there will be a construction of multi-family homes, which will start from 2021. They will include co-working space. What does that mean? Co-working or working from home mainly has been accepted as the mode for the future. Now, financial services, integration of tokenization technology to better secure and track individual purchases and transactions by 2023. What manufacturing is saying, their full adoption of supply chain 4.0 by 2025. Retail e-commerce sales accounts for more than a third of total retail spending by the end of 2020. They're much more than that. So during this pandemic time, and just in this few months or last few months, you might have also observed that some business models which emerged strongly during pandemic. What were those? Subscription services, be it by people offering services, pay per use, product as a service as a product, data as a service, digital platforms. All these business models have emerged strongly during pandemic because people were at home, and organizations who were prepared and digitally mature at that time were able to utilize these business models strongly, creating a market share for them at this time when their competitors who were not prepared were struggling to find out what to do. Now, before, we as a human being are the most selfish creatures. We think from a selfish perspective, and we always want to know WIFM, what's in it for me. So now I want to give you 7 key themes why your organization should move towards. Although I have given these all statistics, but still I will give you 7 more key themes which is playing out on a wider economic canvas in future. And all of you should pay attention to this, because these reasons will give you enough reasons to move towards digitalization. First is digital nationalism. Many prime ministers of various countries are now vouching for go local, support local brands should come out and be vocal for the local brands. So digital nationalism will play a strong, important role. Increasingly, not only from the government perspective and from the people living in that country or nation, from both perspectives. Now, increasingly, a large part of the economic value is created or is coming from digital innovation, ecosystem propositions, and new technologies. I think you all will agree to this statement. What does that mean? This clearly plays out in the soaring valuation of big tech that we have seen and rapid investment in this space. If you see last 5 years, just evaluate. Just try to analyze yourself. You will see these 3 verticals, digital innovation, ecosystem propositions, and new technologies, through this big tech are getting valuations and rapid investment are coming up in this space. However, in these tough times, in this pandemic times, countries could seek to retain their edge and increase non-tariff barriers on leading edge digital R&D, intellectual property, and those products or solutions which they consider important for national security or economy. Every government in most of the countries I know are the biggest buyer for businesses across their country. For example, if I take about India, government has made a list of around 150 broad categories for which government is purchasing in huge amount. And it's not just now, it started from March till the time the pandemic started. So this is time of digital nationalism, where government is also playing a big role in becoming a buyer based on their capability and capacities. And it is a time to support the nationalism, support the people within the country through, and there will be a huge lot of opportunities. And if you are not digitally present, you will lose on those opportunities. So second is shift towards digital labor. I know this word I have taken from a research. So the digital, it is not digital employees, it was digital labor. Now, what is that means? The world was already embracing digital labor and bots, but COVID-19 will accelerate this shift towards greater automation. Businesses would want to increasingly leverage those digital platforms which can continue uninterrupted in the event of a crisis and reduce dependence on personnel. Now, why? this is right or wrong, that can be a question of debate. But because in order to sustain, survive, and scale business, this has to be a tough decision for businesses to take. Further, the margin pressure would nudge businesses to seek efficiency in scale deployment of digital labor technologies. And this could actually be the perfect storm for widespread adoption of such digital technologies. Organizations, management, leaders who were skeptical in adopting digital technologies or digitalization at that time will now be made to participate in this, and they need to understand and adopt it. Workspaces of the future. Now, COVID-19 could mark a turning point in how people work. The pandemic is transforming people's approach towards work, mobility, and flexible working models. All the organizations, all the big organizations we name, have created their different models to provide mobility and flexibility to their people while working from their home. We expect to see an acceleration of alternative work delivery models as well as employment constructs. Now, most of these models would be empowered by digital platforms for realization. There's no other way to do that. Now, this is something very important. Outcome linked and as a service model. What does that mean? With more economic uncertainty around, customers and businesses would seek to engage suppliers or partners on outcomes and not on classical material service supplies. We expect many businesses to restructure their propositions to align to this new landscape and bundle their solutions on outcome as a service models. Digital platform would either form the backbone of delivery of such propositions. With every aspect, just ask yourself, are you really prepared for that? Are you really prepared to grab this opportunity? Are you really prepared to understand the kind of change the environment is bringing right now? This pandemic is bringing. Are you agile right now or not? Ask yourself this with my every statement. Now, digital skills, very, very important. Innovation driven by digital technologies will increasingly power the competitive edge of companies in the market. I repeat this statement. Innovation driven by digital technologies will increasingly power the competitive edge for companies in the market. The role of the future would be built on the triads of skills: domains, functional skills, digital skills, professional skills. So this is an opportune time for the organizations to reflect on the digital talent base which they have and leverage the downtime to build a pervasive digital skill foundation. Dear friends, you have to, if you're a business owner, business leader, manager, and watching this presentation right now, it's a wake-up call right now. And you need to build the digital talent pool within your organization, because this is going to be the new normal. Another one is capital conscious model. Now, what does that mean? As the CapEx cycles get rescaled due to the crisis, we expect digital product solution partners to be innovative in offering cash flow friendly investment models for digital implementations. Many of the ecosystem players would be looking at a gain share model which could accelerate the digital journey of organization. Although this will bring a lot of ownership, a lot of seriousness and dedication, but this is going to be a wonderful model, and we will see a lot of collaborations and a lot of news about capital conscious model in the future. Tech foundations. In many large companies, technology debt gets accumulated over time. Most of the organizations who are technology driven, they might understand this. Various large companies, they get technology debt get accumulated over time as business go through multiple cycles of technology acquisition and implementations. This crisis may provide an opportunity for management, business leaders to carefully evaluate the tech landscape and identify those opportunities to retire this technology debt. It may also free up precious cash flow, which could be leveraged for future digital investments. So all these things are going to be, these are the 7 key uh, themes which are going to play a wider economic canvas in the future. I'm again repeating it for your reference. One is digital nationalism, shifting towards digital labor, workspaces of the future, outcome linked and as a service model, digital skills, capital conscious models, tech foundations. Now, why? And some more reasons for you to get convinced. And what are the advantages of digitalization for business sectors? Now, from management perspective, what happens? They provide a future-proof solution, flexible reaction to market changes, higher ROI, and maintaining a competitive edge. Now, advantage for the IT is flexible and scalable infrastructure. I think most of us have realized this during the crisis. Less efforts for development, shorter release cycles. For controls and finances, it is efficient use of resources, lower personal costs, current numbers, reduced investment costs. For marketing, it's analysis of results, personalized address to to people, to clients, to customers, better targeting, reduced ad spends, increasing operating range, and shorter time to market. Very important. And we have seen various organizations who were ready with their digitalization strategy. They got, the time to market for them was very less. And they got into the market at a very shorter time. For sales and partner portals, automated sales support, simpler onboarding, which is a challenge right now because many organizations are hiring people, but the onboarding process has become a little challenge. Training, teaching over internet has its impact, but there are ifs and buts. There are pros and cons for everything. Now, customer service. The advantage is customer self-care via web portal, knowledge management and central customer data, faster support times, improved support and quality. For production, automated process, digital control via web mobile applications, improved allocation of production goods. For HR, it is targeted candidate marketing, talent traceability, CRM for interested parties with all data, and complete organization. What advantages it have is flexibility, scalability, automation, high performance, high software quality in the long term, foundation for innovation and agility. So to all the viewers who are watching right now, I have given you enough reasons to introspect. I've given you enough reasons to understand this. This is going to be the new normal. There is going to be a lot of opportunities, but you need to invest your time, in yourself, in your time, in your people, and in creating the structured model for digitalization. Now, even if you are ready to it, I want to give you 5 biggest challenge to digitalization. So first is the changing customer experience. So why I'm sharing these challenges? Because once you make up your mind to move towards digitalization, you want to speed up towards digitalization, you must consider these 5 biggest challenges before you move forward and make a strategy how you will mitigate those risks or how you will overcome these challenges. The first one is changing customer experience. It is said that by 2020, most businesses believe customer service will become the key brand differentiator. And now, when it is digital, creating that requires understanding the mastery of the art of customer experience. Most people who leave due to bad experience vanish without complaining. And most of my clients have observed this already. To the clients they were not able to serve, to the clients they were not able to communicate, to the clients they were not able to support at that time, they vanish without complaining. And this is a trend, dear friends, and we need to really take care of this, because this can be a challenging thing for most of us. Master the art. So what we can do is master the art of customer experience by assessing your current presence and finding ways to improve the level of enjoyment of each customer experience, and that can be done. Second, challenge could be employee pushback. Now, 74% of businesses believe that customer perception and adaptation negatively affects their ability to change course. So what can impact is there is also a significant skill gap in what business need to transform and what they have in their current workforce. Employees right now may not be, because see, the vision, and this is something which I have observed and people in my network have observed. Why this challenge arise most of the time is because we have not given, as a business leader, as the head of our organization, as a promoter, we have not shared the vision, mission, values, and purpose of the organization in the spirit it needs to be shared. And that is the reason in the organization where, as a coach, I'm able to bring a transformation, is because I'm able to understand their foundational things and able to communicate with their people along with them. So I hope all of you will agree that there is a significant skill gap in what business needs to be transformed right now and what they have in their current workforce. So we need to understand this. Third, omni-channel adaptation. Yes, we have no choice, dear friends. We have to be present at all the channels our customers are, or customers are present. 25% of customers who start in your store, or maybe this is one example, who start buying, it's a small example. 25% customer who will start in your store will later buy online. What does that mean? There's no loyalty right now. If you can, it's okay to say that. But what does this also means is that customers aren't looking for one place to buy or experience your brand. They want you to be omni-channel. So if you don't do that, your risk of losing 57% of your customers by failing to have an omni-channel presence. 57% chances of failure are more. Failing or poor analytics. What does that mean? 53% of modern companies are dissatisfied with their analytic abilities. Why? If you are not able to get the right numbers and analytics, how will you make your strategies or towards robust strategies? And if it is not there, what it will result into? It will result into lack of ability to personalize and communicate to your customers' need, which will likely drive them to your competition. So we can't cry later that the customers are going towards the competition if we don't have the right analytics in place. So artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning, people utilizing these technologies and creating tech-driven platforms for us, for people, for organizations to get good analytics to create right strategies. This is something very, 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 very crucial. Lagging legacy business models. Now, what does that mean? Failing to let go of legacy business models has hurt companies in the past and will do so again. If you are not agile, if you will stick to what you're doing, like an example shared is a beautiful example of Kodak, which invented the digital cameras but sat on it because they feared the death of the film. Hence, if you are still not able to take a right decision because of a legacy business model and you want to stick to that, be aware of the consequences and be prepared for the consequences. On the other hand, Verizon saw that the landline was dying and decided to lead the charge to mobile devices. Now, 66% of the marketers feel that their old system doesn't allow them to fully optimize their customer experience. So, very, very important. Again, I'm sharing 5 biggest challenges which can come is changing customer experience, employee pushback, omni-channel adaptation, failing or poor analytics, legacy business models. Now, Still, there might be people who will be thinking, what if I don't digitalize still? After understanding every aspect also, if I will not digitalize, if I don't move towards this process of digitalization, what cost I have to bear? I want to share that as well. First, very, very, very important, dear friends, you will lose relevance. Digital speed is as much 5 times faster than a traditional business. And without a digital presence, it is easy to be lost in a sea of fast moving strategy. You will be lost, dear friends. You will lose relevance. Second, competitive disadvantage. When new companies come in and disrupt an industry, which is going to happen now and in future, whenever a disruption crisis will come, there will be new emerging opportunities and market for people to grab on, and new industries will surely come up. Now, when new companies will come in and disrupt an industry, keeping up in pertinent and digital capabilities are the best way to stay agile, dear friends. One widely known example of this is Blockbuster and Netflix story. We have seen how Netflix have utilized this, have taken this advantage, and now what it is because of that, the understanding of utilizing the competitive advantage at that time. Third is inability to collect key analytics. So right now, when customer experiences are changing, the way you communicate will change. Your employees are now working from home. There are cash flow challenges. In order to create a right strategy for the business, in order to create the vision, mission, realign everything to the strategical piece, what do you need? You need key analytics. Now, what it says is consumers are far less brand loyal than they were 30 years ago, and you all have experienced this. We can't expect a consumer loyalty. It's competition, dear friends. It's about domination. This means that companies need to work even harder to understand that consumers to protect, even harder to understand their consumers to promote loyalty. Consumer data allows company to tailor content, engage on the platform that matters, and continuously learn what does and doesn't work with them and for them. With this type of insight, companies can make detrimental strategies there if this is not there. Now, they can risk market share. Businesses that don't evolve and expand will find it difficult to retain their market share. If you go by the traditional way and not towards the digitalization, you will risk your market share. Another important point is you will struggle to retain and hire valuable staff. As more digital disruptors enter the marketplace across industries, it's the key to have an agile workforce that can adapt to change and rise to challenges. This is one of the burning challenge of all the HR and learning and development professionals across the countries, across different organizations, in different environments. As more and more digital disruptors are entering, it is right now very crucial, and the person who are able to master this art will able to have an agile workforce that can adapt to change and rise to challenge. We have to create that kind of workforce, my dear friends. Stifle company and revenue growth, as lack of digital activity will make growth a challenge. We have taken examples like Kodak, Nokia, BlackBerry as an example. Now, for example, in case of Kodak, already shared, the decade-long decline of the film-based business ended in bankruptcy due to resistance of change. For the company, digital change was realized as early as in 1975, when most of us were even not born, my dear friends. They realized the digital change at that time, but were not able to adapt to the change, embrace the change, and change with the change. They are not there anymore. Now, moving to the last piece of my presentation, it is 6 steps towards digitalization. If you agree that you want now to move towards digitalization, I want to just give you a 6-step basic framework to move towards digitalization, to move your steps towards digitalization. How many of you are ready for that? Okay, great. Great, thank you. Wow. Okay, so let me give you the first one. First is very, very important. Sit with your team, sit with your top key stakeholders, and identify your goals for digitalization. Before having a right goals, what you have to digitalize, what you will do, you will seek opinions, you will seek suggestions, you will see what people are doing, and you try to copy that. That is not going to work for your organization. It has to have a custom approach. It has to have a tailored approach. So when identifying goals for digitalization, example, this is one of the example, consider beyond supply chain managers. What does that mean? Consider your entire operation and discuss digitalization with different departments. What type of data insight do marketing needs, category and brand manager needs? How can digitalization help with gathering these data and deploying strategies relevant to these insights? This is one of the examples. So identify your goal for digitalization for different aspects and see how you can marry all them and create one framework for your organization. Second, have the right digital savvy leaders in place. This is a personal observation. You have all the rights as a viewer to agree or disagree. But I have seen organizations who are trying to move toward digitalization or moving toward digital transformation. They don't have digital savvy leaders in their organization. What they're doing is they're trying to utilize their existing leaders and trying to push them to bring digitalization, whereas their workforce is not ready. And when they are not able to produce results, it all went into a blame game. So changes take place at all levels during this digitalization or digital transformation, especially when it comes to talent and capabilities. Nearly 70% of all respondents, this is a data from a research by a McKinsey, which says nearly 70% of all respondents says that their organization's top team changed during the transformation. And most commonly, when new leaders who are familiar with digital technologies joined the management team, only then they were able to bring the transformational change. Organizations who bring right leaders on board at the right time are 1.6 times more likely than others to report a successful digitalization, dear friends. So in case if you don't have a good digital savvy leader who can bring digitalization, it's your time to bring that right person on board. Third, building capabilities for the workforce of the future. So forget the past, try to improve the present, and we have to now work towards creating the capabilities for workforce of the future. This survey, this survey results confirm this again, the same McKinsey report. The survey results confirm that developing talent and skills throughout the organization, a fundamental action for traditional transformation, is one of the most important factors for success in digital change efforts. So what it implies is success is more likely when organizations scale up their workforce planning and talent development. So transformation, like for example, recently with Arthur, with directive communication psychology, we created a wonderful, unique model of gamification, which has all the elements of creating what I'm talking about right now. It's about how you can build your goals, align emotions to that goals, how you can build a beautiful process of a good culture within the organization, training people, aligning everybody from a remote location to one objective and one motive. And we did really successful programs recently. So what we are trying to support organization, we are supporting hugely organization in building capabilities for the workforce of future. Transformation success is more than 3 times likelier when respondents say their organization have invested the right amount in digital talent. So creating capabilities, digital talent is one aspect, but overall creating capabilities who can now be at their places and still be digitally active, and creating that momentum which is required for the organization is very, very prominent right now. So fourth is empowering people to work in new ways. Now, so what it says is digital transformation requires cultural as well as behavioral changes. Now, such as calculated risk taking, increased collaboration, customer centricity, etc. Now, reinforcing new behaviors and ways of working through formal mechanism long proved as an action that support organizational change. So there has to be a formal mechanism that can support the actions that support overall an organizational change. Now, one key related to transformation success is established practices related to working in new ways. We need to establish practices because it's all about a human dealing with a human. There needs to have a culture impacting that human. We need to understand each and every core aspect of this. Another key is giving employees a say. Very important. And I have seen multiple times leaders try to bring those changes themselves. But dear friends, this is the time where you need to give your employees a say. Say on where digitalization could be adopted. When employees generate their own ideas about where digitalization might support the business, it is not digitization, it's a spelling error, but it is digitalization which I'm talking about right now. Respondents are 1.4 times more likely to report success. Fifth, three key, you have to give them day-to-day tools as a digital upgrade. Now, what is the first key? Is adopting digital tools to make information more accessible across the organization, which more than doubles the likelihood of successful transformation. Today, what we see that there is a huge gap and the information is not getting communicated the way it should be communicated. And it becomes more prominent when we are living in this time of crisis. The second key is implementing digital self-serve technologies for employees, business partners, or both groups to use transformation success. And transformation success is twice as likely when organization do that. To create beautiful processes and systems. Third key, focused on technology in a company operation. Now, is organizations modifying their SOPs to include new technologies? This is a question to be asked. Now, beyond these factors, an increase in data-based decision-making and in the visible use of interactive tools can also be more likely, double the likelihood of transformational success. Communicating frequently via traditional and digital methods. So, as we have seen in traditional change efforts, what is more critical? It's clear communication. Clear communication is a crucial element at every aspect. It's every aspect of personal and professional business success. But it is so critical also during the digital transformation. Now, more specifically, one key of success is communicating the change story. As a business leader, it is your responsibility, it is your ownership today to communicate the change story. It is important because it helps employees understand where the organization is headed towards, why it is changing, and why the changes are important. The second key is senior leaders fostering a sense of urgency for making the transformation changes within their units as a practice where good communication is central. Because at this time, when leaders are trying to create urgency because changes needs to be done on a rapid, at a very fast pace, what is more crucial again is a good communication. So various modes of communicating frequently via traditional and digital mode is very, very important. So coming to the end, dear friends, I want to just repeat it once again for you. 6 steps process towards digitalization. First, all of you, sit with your key stakeholders and identify your goals for digitalization. Unless you have it, you will not be able to understand where all you need to put your efforts and money. Have the right digital savvy leaders in place. If you don't have right now, need to bring in as soon as possible. Build capabilities for the workforce of the future. Empowering people to work in new ways. Keys to give day-to-day tools as a digital upgrade to people. Communicating frequently via traditional and digital modes. And in case if you are still not able to do it, in case if you still are not able to understand how you can take your organization towards a digitalization mode and towards a digital transformation, I want to tell you all, my dear friends, your all search for digitalization and digital transformation ends here. As a team of directive communication psychology practitioners from the headquarters, as well as we as a certified trainers and consultants are empowered to help you create a strategical framework for your digitalization and digital transformation. We can support you in creating that mechanism and framework based on your business and the way you want to proceed, your end results, your milestones, your goals, and we can create the minimum model for you. We have created certain wonderful products for learning and development, for your time and task management, and various other products which can help you manage your products, manage your team, manage your sales, manage your productivity, and manage your complete end-to-end learning and growth solutions, dear friends. So if you are really serious, which you should be by now, towards digitalization, your search ends here. It's high time to go digital, or situation can turn you to go dark. I don't want to say this statement, but this is the truth, my dear friend. And unless as a coach, unless as a consultant, I will say the right words. That's my moral responsibility to understand the scenario and speak for the truth so that it can bring the right change at the right time. These are the credentials. You can connect my team or Arthur's team. We are all set to create a complete digital transformation, a digitalization model in your organization from any aspect. So, any questions? Lily and Arthur, over to you. Lily and Arthur, are you there?
Hello.
I was on
Yeah.
mute. Oh my gosh. No. So, no, what I was saying is your 6 steps, I mean, make it super easy to really see the direction that an organization needs to take in order to really, reach those levels. And, if you combine that with Dr. Murali, his design thinking ideas and everything else, plus, some of the elements of Weiling's case study, I mean, this, really makes a complete package of how you have of how to do digitalization and the details and the implementation. And I mean, at the end of the day, the people element that you're talking about, absolutely essential, because a lot of that's, in fact, McKinsey study that I mentioned earlier, that was actually the key barrier to success. Okay, where only 4 to 11% succeeded, it's because the cultures weren't ready. So what you're talking about, that the people need to be there, the psychology needs to be there for people to be able to be agile, to be able to adopt new digital things, is absolutely spot on. And McKinsey agrees with you.
Thank you, Arthur. I think that was awesome. Really, recently when we did our gamification training recently, and I was really supporting various organizations as a consultant in getting that digitalization framework done, and I have seen a humongous results in their whole process. And more important, it brings a confidence in the culture. It brings a confidence in the people.
And speaking of gamification, since I take every opportunity to promote stuff, don't forget get my new book, okay, which is currently #1 new release on Amazon, okay? Game On, okay, reinventing organizational culture through gamification. Duh! Okay, so my plug is in there. All right, we're good. Okay. All right, so yeah, I mean, and that's, you know, and that again, I mean, this is where all of the DC trainers, you know, they get certified in gamification, not only in the psychology of DC psychology, but actually how to gamify organizational cultures, gamify work processes, and the, you know, the using the system where the trainer simply facilitates the organization to create their own gamified work processes, which of course works brilliantly. So thank you so much, Anshul. I mean, that is absolutely brilliant.
Thank you so much, Arthur. Thank you, Lily, for this amazing opportunity. And I think together, the kind of initiative which you are taking, we will strongly support people and organizations during this COVID time. I'm very sure and all open to the support.
Well, we've been doing that. You know, we have been supporting a lot of organizations because, you know, as you know, we are doing free culture consulting for organizations that we feel worthy. So, you know, a lot of organizations have come to us to get a free culture consulting project. So that, you know, so we're helping people to literally gain hope and gain purpose through understanding a vision of what they can create in their organization. So that we're all trying to do our best to really help people during this COVID situation. We're, you know, giving away $1 million worth of culture consulting. And right now we still got a few 100,000 left to go. So if there's an organization out there that wants to do it, we're ready to help you.
Wonderful.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah, and yeah, anyone at all, do get in touch with us, with Arthur, myself, Dr. Anshul, or anyone in the directive communication community. Certainly, we will, you know, be able to help you. Yes,
absolutely. Okay, and don't forget. Okay, hey Anshul, how do people contact you if they want to if they want to find you besides look you up on Google?
Yeah. So I have actually shared my email address. You just type connect@dranshuldingra.com and you can just write to me. I've shared all the credentials. I can share it one more time.
Yeah, just put it on there really quick so that we can see it. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's put it up on the screen. All right.
Is it there?
Okay. Well, that, you know, we can't really see those. Can you put it into the comment section?
Yes, I will do that. I will certainly do
that. That way we can put it right up on there. Okay, put it in the comments. It'll be a lot easier. Okay. All right. And while he's doing that, do not forget that in 30 minutes, we're doing a special webinar. Okay. If you're a coach, if you're a consultant, and you really want to have a competitive advantage plus a lot more business during this pandemic, we're going to be discussing the 3 new psychology-based tools that are going to take coaching and training to the absolute next level, the new level of human digital training, coaching, merging, personalized, results-oriented success. You know, and we're going to show you some new stuff that has come out and new strategies that is going to be awesome. And don't forget, because we have Alex Karpov, the Russian scientist, okay, who is going to be joining us today, you know, and of course, master coach. Did you put it in there, Anshul?
Yes.
That is okay. So let's go ahead and put that in there. There it is. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Right there on the screen, you can connect with Dr. Anshul Dhingra and let him know what you need him to help you with. All right. Okay. So meanwhile, I guess that's it. Okay. Any final words? Do we have any other? Okay. So we've got somebody that says that you are very entertaining and stimulating. Wow. Those are some serious words there. Okay. And okay, and of course, that's very well presented session. I totally agree. The enthusiasm, the awesomeness, and of course, the Dr. Anshul Dhingra energy and charisma that goes with it. Okay, so thank you very much, Anshul. It was awesome having you here. And now I just want to let you know that, okay, all of this is available. All of this is available, okay, in recordings, okay? All of these are recorded, okay? So everything that you saw today is recorded. But wait, there's more because, okay, so I just put that right there into the, let's see, into the chat over here, and we're going to put that right there. So this is all available on recorded. So if you go to this, not only can you get the 3 recordings that you've seen today with the case study by Wai Ling, the design thinking by Dr. Murali, Professor Dr. Murali, technologist guy, okay, and of course all of the wisdom from Dr. Anshul Dhingra, all of that plus the other 52 Reboot 2020 videos, and of course you know, which is normally $19.95 per month to access that, but because you know this is the live session, we got that whole thing where you only have to pay $19.95 one time. So okay, click on the link or just go to reboot2020.online/upgrade, and that'll take you to this, so that you can get it for only $19.95 forever. And not just this, okay, remember all the videos from the Reboot series, including Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, myself, Dr. Sanjeev Dixit, and Dr. Anshul from the last time as well. So we got a lot of, and well, let's not forget Lily. I mean, Lily has contributed.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
and you know, so we've got you know, so Lily was talking about generations and how they're dealing with digital transformation as well. So all of that is on here for only $19.95 forever. You get complete access for the rest of your life, and you can even pass it on to your descendants. How cool is that?
It's a legacy model now.
Absolutely, there it is. Okay, all right. So, any final questions here? Do we have any final questions? Okay. No. Let's see. We just say, you know, we got people saying thank you. Okay, Carling is saying thank you. All right. So that is it. And of course, don't forget, if you have the, if you want to join us for the digital, for the webinar later on. Okay, don't forget that that is on here. Also, let me just quickly find that. Okay, and here it is. Okay, here is the link to today's webinar starting in about 28 minutes. Okay, so see you then. And anything else to say, Lily? Any final comments?
Yeah, so we would like to thank you, our 3 prestigious speakers today, Dr. Anshul Dhingra, and then we have Wai Ling, and we have Professor Dr. Murali Raman, right? And our mini reboot series will continue, right, into the next session, which will be in December. So do keep, in touch with us, and we'll certainly keep you updated. And the topics that we have for the next discussion is going to be surrounded around education in the new normal now, right? Right.
Absolutely. Right. And it's not just going to be education about your kids. It's not just going to be, how to, but, improve education in the education system, but it's going to be about educating your employees, your staff, and of course, even yourself and the different elements of that. So, and that, of course, is also going to be sponsored by the Global Trainers Federation, where you can also get your online trainer certification. So you can be an certified online trainer through the Global Trainers Federation. So let's not forget our sponsors. All right. So that's it. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Arthur. Thank you, Lily, for always being the backbone of doing and making it possible every time.
Let's also not forget Afik and Agus.
And Agus, yes.
Okay, who are always, making things happen behind the scenes. All right, so thanks again. And that's it, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. See you.